Hey, JB.
Hey, how are
Hey,
you guys?
hey.
Just give me one
Good,
second.
thanks.
Surviving.
Yeah, I hear you
Tell
there.
us. Tell us some more.
Tell us everything juicy.
So I got two tips of it from about last week that they were like, oh, the week Parliament returns, he's going to call it. There was no date. There was
Nothing.
no validity behind any of the voice that I was speaking to. It was just kind of like a rumor or a suspect. And then I got another word from somebody who still works in the press that they got told that as well. And they're like, okay, now things are starting to roll here. We're getting multiple different people saying it. And then I got a text today from somebody inside of the governing party saying, I texted him being like, do we have any idea what day this is going to happen? Is this going to be like a spring? Is it going to be summer? And he said, it's all but certain going to be the first week they return. So that could be the Tuesday, that could be the Thursday. They didn't say the day, it's that week. And then, funny enough, I got an email just not 10 minutes after that from Liberal Party comms saying that the Liberals are hosting a rally event on the night of the 23rd, and it's called the Day of Action. And they literally said in the email, day one of our new campaign. So, like, there is all these breadcrumbs that are starting to be laid. And if press is getting briefed on things, if you're seeing all the parties post election jobs on their websites, like, things are moving. So, what I personally think is going to happen is Carney is going to obviously get sworn in tomorrow. He's going to say his cabinet. He's going to give them a set number of things that needs to get done by the first week. You know, any outstanding bills, any things that need to get voted on that are urgent, stuff like that, right? And I think day one on the Tuesday, I would love this to happen, just to be clear. But I think they're going to put a bill forward that's going to get rid of the carbon tax and have the Conservatives vote on it and give them a vote and be like, hey, if this bill passes and we get rid of the carbon tax, Carney can say, I have a mandate. I have a mandate from the House, so let's continue. And then just one by one by one by one, get these bills to pass until the vote fails. And then they'll say, well, I don't have confidence anymore. And then he'll call it. I think it's going to be very strategic. It's going to be very calculated. Not give the opposition their day. Basically, just be like, we got some things we got to do first.
Yeah.
That's kind of my running theory. But we'll see. Because he said he wanted to get rid of the carbon tax and the capital gains. But if he's calling an election on the first day anyways, then how is he going to get rid of that? Right? You know what I mean? So I think there's going to be a little bit of a political theater here for the first week of Parliament returning, which would be interesting
I
to
think that
watch.
would be a really smart idea, though. He should say that, hey, let's get rid of the carbon tax, because if the Conservatives vote against it, then it just shows the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine the ammo that not just the Liberals, but every other party would get if Carney puts a carbon tax vote day one, right? He gets LeBlanc to put the carbon tax bill forward and get rid of it, and the Conservatives vote against it.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
imagine
That
the
would be
fodder.
amazing.
But then if they vote for it, then they have nothing for the election because that was their whole thing. It's kind of genius if you think about it, but
It
I
really
really
is.
hope that they do it, though. I hope that he's smart enough to realize that that would be one of the best political strategies that he could take right now.
Yeah.
and he's not even in the House. Like, he has to do this from the gallery, which I'm excited for those photos, by the way, of Carney coming into the House of Commons, and you'll have to sit in the gallery and be the prime minister, but then obviously you're going to have LeBlanc and Gould and all the the existing cabinet ministers table these pieces of legislation, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that people need to understand too is that just because we dissolve Parliament doesn't mean he's not the prime minister, so he can still handle Trump for any bullshit that comes up, and he can still continue that diplomacy that is happening. So buckle up. It's time. Like,
It's going to be a wild ride.
yeah. So that's kind of my inside scoop. I got a lot of that today, and I'm pretty confident that there's going to be something the first week. What exactly it is, I don't think we truly know, but there's going to be something very interesting over the next week and a half, 2 weeks here. So we'll see.
I'm dying to ask you something controversial, but I don't know. I kind of want to ask it, but if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. What do you think about Jagmeet coming out and publicly saying that Carney wants to cut tax for millionaires and gut public health care?
I have told them that that's a losing strategy. Not that
Because
I necessarily...
that's not true though. It's not actually
Yes.
true.
I don't believe it to be true, but from what they showed to people, I could see how people could perceive it to be true. It's sort of this, like, it's depending how you look at the numbers kind of thing. I don't think it's true, to be honest. That's my stance on it. That I think it's wrong. But
he said he wants to stop the hike in capital gains tax, which doesn't mean cutting taxes for millionaires and billionaires. It means
Correct.
just stopping the hike and not taxing them more. So I feel like they took advantage of that and twisted it. And then in terms of the fact that he wants to be more efficient with spending, he's never anywhere outright said he wants to gut public health care in any way, shape, or form. So again, I feel like that's taking advantage of a certain wording to create an assumption that's not there. And it's not cool. It just feels like, because you know me, I've been an NDP supporter my whole life, and I'm just wondering, like, why are they going about it with this type of communication when it's damaging to us right now when we're facing one of the biggest threats in Canadian history? I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't get it, I should say. I don't understand the logic. With my acquaintances within the party, I have to be careful because I don't want to burn any bridges. But it's challenging because I am a voice that they listen to, and I've been saying this for months. Right? Don't attack the Liberals. Don't do it. You will lose. Because if you're trying to win votes from Liberals in these key ridings that you are strategic in, the last thing you want to do is call them, Zionists and billionaires and all this stuff, when a lot of Liberals aren't that. And the thing that I try to recommend to them is, like, the NDP and the Liberals can sit at the table together. They're not going to get along on everything. There's going to be things that they fundamentally disagree with, but in the end, they all want the same thing. They're just going to go a different path to get it. And I think that's healthy if we have two different parties trying a different path to get these things done. So why would you attack that? Right?
I think it's always a fail. Jagmeet always gut punches Liberals at every opportunity he gets. There's this moment where we need to come together, and there's Jagmeet gut punching Liberals. So there's no safe space to go with the NDP. And it's been a classic Jagmeet thing to do. And I think it's his fail. All the way through.
But here's the thing. I want to make this clear, though. If you live in a riding where the New Democrats are the most viable candidate to win, consider
vote for them.
Please voting for the New Democrats.
100%.
We have to remember this is.
I'm still voting NDP. I'm still voting NDP because that's what's going to win in my riding against Conservatives.
Exactly.
And that's what I try to teach people all the time. It doesn't matter how you feel about any of the candidates right now. If you're on the progressive side, just don't vote split. That's what we need to do. We need to unite on this.
Right, exactly. And, like, there is a riding, for instance, that's coming to mind. One of my old ridings, and they've renamed it, but it's the old Parkdale High Park in Toronto. It's currently seated by Arif Virani, who probably is going to get kicked off cabinet tomorrow. So he's not going to be a cabinet position. And that the NDP are running probably their strongest candidate in their bench right now in that area. Batila Caproci, who was an MPP on Ontario, stepped down from provincial politics and stepping up in federal politics. And she is a Tibetan woman, and that riding has little Tibet inside of it. She is insanely popular. So in that riding, I would say vote New Democrat because she is probably going to win, right? And, like, those are those situations. So that's what I think the New Democrats need to do is they need to find their wins and put all their eggs and all their money into winning those key ridings that they have a lot of grassroots support in, that they have a very popular candidate that's sitting on their future bench, right? That's the win there. This fighting with liberals in the suburbs in the 905 is not going to win them an election. It's not. They're not going to gain from that. And if anything, we're going to lose because it's going to punch up a conservative because of a vote split or something. So as much as like we've been having this conversation, I want to make it clear to everybody listening that like strategically vote in this election, and this is probably the most like important election in our time right now. And the last thing we want to do is fighting with each other about, well, this person, this person, this person. When you got Pierre sitting there saying he's not Trump, but acting a lot like Trump, and who's threatening our sovereignty. That's kind of my thoughts on it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a point that I make all the time too. I'm just, I say this because I talk to a lot of NDP supporters that are, eating up this communication from Jagmeet that Carney is this big bad neoliberal guy and that they can't vote for liberals, and a lot of them are in ridings where giving the NDP their vote would actually be throwing their vote away because the NDPs don't have a strong candidate there. I'm in an area where they do have a strong candidate, and even though I'm not super, happy with the way that he's doing his comms right now, I'm still going to vote NDP because the only thing I care about is that I don't give my vote away to a conservative. But I just wanted to touch base on that because I know that you know more. And then I have two other questions if I can quickly still get you here. Is it I don't know about this, but did the NDP say that they would or wouldn't be part of the coalition if it comes to be the one that Elizabeth May talked about?
Right. I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't seen anything that's on my side. There may have been a statement today. To be fair, I've been running around doing errands and I have been barely on my phone.
Totally.
The only thing I've been able to do is since about 2:30, people have been asking me, so election, this is the thing. So I've been very disconnected from New Democratic comms today. So there may have been something about that. I hope that they consider it. I think Elizabeth May's proposal is fair.
I heard that they don't want to be part of it. That's why I'm asking, because what I heard, and I don't know yet. It's just rumors, but the rumors that I've been hearing is that they don't want to be part of the coalition. And that worries me. So that's why I wanted to ask you that, but you don't know either. So it's all good. We'll come back to it on your live later.
I haven't heard anything. If I do hear anything, I'll let you know. But I'm really disliking the state of the New Democrats in the federal party right now. And I'm trending lightly here because I have a lot of friends that work in that party that do very, very good work every single day that authentically care about the betterment of our country. But this hyper partisanship that we're seeing among left parties right now, we can't do that right now, guys. Like, I'm not saying your viewpoints are wrong. I'm a socialist at heart. Like, that's my core ideology. But I'm a realist at the same time, and I'm looking at what Donald Trump's doing. I know how our country votes. I know where we stand on a lot of things, and we do need to accept what's best or what's better, but not best sometimes. And if everyone in the progressive side's like, I can't vote for Carney because he has a lot of money. I can't vote for Carney because he put a Zionist as his chief of staff. I can't vote for Carney because of whatever progressive reason. I get it. But is Pierre any better? Like, is a conservative government really going to be better for you? Because I'm going to tell you it's not. It's not going to be, right? So, sorry, my baby's just wanting to get involved.
No, it's okay. It's cute. It's cute. Your baby's like, don't do it, guys. Don't vote split. Don't do it.
Yo, I'm turning this
Imagine your child has an opinion. Imagine your child has an opinion.
His opinion right now is, when can I get puffs? And that dog is cute. He likes screaming at animals. So
all good opinions.
Just one more question, if I can, while you're still here. In terms of smartvoting.ca, I know that it's still missing a bunch of ridings. Are those going to be added in-ish soon?
So all the writings are there. This is sort of a PSA for everybody watching in this election. And I think Elections Canada is actually doing really terrible messaging with this as well. Your riding name probably changed. They redistricted. This is the first election with new ridings. We have 343 ridings now, not 338. They've added a few. So, for instance, like, I'm in one of the new ridings, which is super exciting. So there's no data for my riding yet because it's brand spanking new. But in making these new ridings, almost every riding changed names. They added a name or changed it or moved the city name to different spots, this, that, or the other. So you can go to smartvoting.ca. There's a big button that says find my 2025 riding. It's right under the drop down. You put your postal code in and it'll tell you what your old riding name was and it'll tell you what your new riding name was. Then you go back and find it in the list and the prediction will be there. So
Okay.
all 343 ridings are there. We've triple, quadruple checked. Like everything is there. But like I said, almost I think 78% of the ridings either were new or changed names. So double check.
Okay,
because
because
it could also
I
be
didn't
confusing,
I didn't
right?
see the name for the new riding when I went to go check what riding I'm in. It didn't show me the new name. It just showed me the old name, and I was like,
No. Shoot me a
where
message.
am I? And
Shoot me a
then my
message after and
parents
I
had
can-
the same. Yeah, I was gonna say my parents had the same issue with their riding as well. They couldn't figure out what the new one was. They only know the name of the old
Right.
one, and they
We're
couldn't
trying
find
to
it.
figure
So
out a way because Elections Canada gives us very, very friendly data. So we can actually get postal code data from Elections Canada. So we're trying to figure out a way to, when you go to Smart Voting, it asks for your permission to see where you live, essentially, like what postal code you are based off of your device location, and then tell you you're riding automatically. We're trying to figure out a way to do that, which is coming. But for now, we
okay,
just have to do the drop down. But shoot me a message because I'm curious. Because, like I said, we've gone through every riding by riding by riding, and verified that it was there. So there
oh,
might be
I
just some,
fully agree with you. I just couldn't figure out what the name of the new riding I'm in is because
yeah,
I thought that the where I live, I thought we had 4 ridings, and yet I only saw 3. So I was like,
yeah.
did
With
some
the
of them
six
merge
edition.
together?
Well, BC got a bunch, right? And I think you're at that way, right? So it's
I am, yeah.
yeah, BC. Metro Vancouver got severed and split. They didn't get any new ridings, but they redrew a lot of the lines because of demographic data and people moved and all these other things. It happens all the time, right? It's just
Okay,
they're trying their best to get 100,000 people represented in one space, and people move, right? So they got to redraw the lines and on all this stuff. But um, Ontario and got pretty much all the new ridings. There's 6 new ridings. I think 4 of them are in Ontario in total. All in the
okay.
GTA. So yeah. But
Okay,
yeah.
I'll take a look. I'll put in my information again and see if there's anywhere that maybe I missed where it says this is your new one now.
Yeah, you have to go to Elections Canada website and then go back. It's kind of a convoluted process that we're trying to fix, but
Okay,
if you can't figure it out, just shoot me a message and we'll get down to it and figure it out. But yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
smart voting's updated. The federal model's there. If you want to kind of get an idea of where your riding is leaning, as of right now, it updates every Sunday night. That's just kind of when we're getting our data, and I'll tell you, in the few weeks that we've had the federal model up, the shift for Liberal support is astonishing. Like it is measurable. Like every update, I see all the ridings. Like I see ridings flip colors, like
Nice.
instantly. It is, and if this Ecos poll, which they're in the process of validating it because they put the Ecos poll up, then they took it down because the numbers were too crazy, and then they put it back up and said they would send it to third parties, and then the third parties are currently going over it. If this Ecos poll turns out to be true, it'll give Carney 250 plus seats. It's insane. The regional breakdown in that Ecos poll is like all of that 47% that he's got in it is all in Ontario and Quebec. It's just,
Juicy.
that's where the seats are, right? That's where the seats are. And could you imagine he gets a supermajority like that?
Oh my
Talk about
gosh.
a turnaround for that party. But I don't, just to be clear,
Damn.
I don't think that's going to be true because you can't base it off of one poll. You got to go by the aggregates, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
it's a hypothetical, right? But
Not a bad
I did a
Yeah.
hypothetical.
poll today. I got texted for a poll today. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I don't. I'm one of those people that's like I don't want to get too excited about anything until it happens. I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist, and I don't want to get too like caught up in polling because I don't want people to also get too apathetic. Like, oh, we got this. I don't need to go vote.
Yeah.
So like I tell everyone, don't take
Yeah.
anything as the truth yet. You need to go vote. You need to show up. You need to do your part because we just don't know. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
it's
we
good
don't know.
signs. It does make me happy to hear that there's a trend in that way. But I never believe anything until I see it. That's just the kind of person I am, you know?
I always tell people when you get a favorable poll, that should motivate you to actually go vote versus not
Definitely.
voting at all, because
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
know that you're voting theoretically, if it turns out to be true, with the populace. You're voting with your electorate about what your electorate wants. And let's be honest, it's rewarding when you go and vote and you see your riding go for the person that you voted for. It's a good feeling, right? It's like I won. Now I live in a super blue riding. You could paint the telephone pole blue in my riding and people would vote for it. So like the liberal in my riding is not likely to win, even with the new lines. Like I'm still very much probably in a conservative safe seat, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
You
well,
have to.
yeah.
You
So
have
we'll
to.
see. But we should vote. I want to challenge this election cycle to really get people to bring people with them to vote. Bring your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your kids. Even if your kids can't vote yet, take them to go vote with you so they see it, they get used to the process, they understand that this is a thing that we do every now and then. And they may hate it, they may think it's boring. Like when we took our daughter to go vote in the provincial election here in Ontario, she's like, "Well, that was boring." Like, well, it's not supposed to be exciting. It's just this thing that we do, right? But yeah, bring
Yeah,
somebody with you to vote,
normalize that
especially if you're
people
a
need
young
to
person.
vote.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Anyways, I'm
ask
Yeah.
my
not.
building manager if I can leave little like go vote type posters in everybody's door.
Hey,
And I think they're going to go for it.
well,
We
smart
set up
voted.
a we
Sorry.
set up a
And
voting station in our house. We have special needs adults that live with us,
Oh, that's
and we
awesome.
we break down the colors for all of their friends. They bring family and we do like our community and we do a voting and we show them colors. Orange can get you some good things right now. Liberals can get, or red can get you a lot of good things. Blue doesn't like to give you good things. What should we do?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
really hard thing to have those conversations. Every election cycle is different, right? But we'll introduce that difference in simplified conversation.
Yeah. It's one of the core memories that I have as a kid was that my parents would take me to go vote with them when it was voting time. I went with them. We loaded up the car. We went to the Legion Hall in our town, and we went and voted. Like that was what we did. And I didn't know really what was going on at the time, but as I got older, I learned. I was like, oh, this is what this is, right? And it's important to do. I hope that we can hopefully with a Carney government, we can get actually a little bit more fairness in voting, like allowing longer voting periods, a more enhanced mail-in ballots, enhanced early voting. I really bummed out that the Elections Act reform didn't go through because that was going to allow anybody to vote anywhere in their riding. So you didn't have to go to that one school gym at that one date. You could go any poll, anytime, and vote, right? So if you're
Yeah.
heading home from work and you're like, oh, yeah, I got to vote today, and you just happen to be driving past a school that has a voting center, you could go vote there as long as it's in your riding. I think that was a major mistake that the government missed on, was not
yep.
allowing that
Yeah.
to happen. And that also would move election day to a Sunday, which would have been huge,
Nice. Yeah.
right? So the parties do it this way, so I don't understand why they won't do it for the federal general, but here we are. But anyways, I'm going to drop
Yep.
down. Appreciate the
Thank
Wow.
conversation.
you.
Thanks for the
I appreciate
conversation.
you for being here.
Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you. Take care.
All
Wow,
right.
that was interesting. Okay.
Yeah, let's build up the panel here.
Okay.
I have a question. How do I get my parents and my brother to vote? They all refuse. I don't know what to do.
Can I mention something? I just did an online. I just had a phone survey that was really disturbing, actually.
Oh,
Please share.
Yeah, I'll tell you. A lot of it was about education and funding for that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to talk about that. But I'm going to talk about the questions that were big to me. The very first question is, how would I rate Danielle Smith's job right now? How good of a job she is doing? And I'm like, what's the worst? Like, highly disagree. The question was, do you feel that Danielle Smith is doing a good job? Is the premier of Alberta right now? Strongly disagree was my obvious answer. Then the next one was about Nenshi and how I thought he was doing. And I said I strongly agree that he's doing a good job. And then they asked, who would you vote for today? And I'm like, NDP, because I don't even know who the Liberal candidate would be. And then near the end of the survey, then it kind of got on to some other things like education or what have you. In Canada, as you know, the United States, blah, blah, blah. How do you feel about becoming the 51st state?
Yeah,
No.
I knew that
Yes.
was happening too.
Of
I think that's what
course.
she's
What?
trying to
Of
do.
course.
Oh, it gets worse. It gets one worse after this, believe it or not. The question
So wait,
was,
wait,
how do you feel
who
about
called?
becoming the
Like-
fifth? I tried asking at the end of the survey. She refused to tell me. She said they don't have to disclose that. But it was specific questions about Danielle Smith. So it was coming from Alberta.
Dude,
I
they're
can-
putting people
Well-
on a registry.
Yeah.
They know exactly who you are now, and they're like, yeah, when we separate.
Mm-hmm. And then the next question was, how about the province of Alberta? What if
Oh,
they
wait,
just
there's
separated?
more.
That was the next question. I kid you not.
But wait,
So you got called by a Wexit
Yes.
strategist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
it's that group of people. There's that they're public about it. There's a group of people in Alberta who are openly separate.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
I'm fuming still because this just happened like 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
You know-
what's her
I'm
name?
sorry,
I posted
Jana.
about it and then I saw you were on and I came online.
You know
It
what-
maybe 15 minutes ago. Yeah.
You know what you have to understand? How are you, host? Good to be back.
I mean, it might not have been nefarious. I know that, I think Ecos also asked similar questions in one of their polls.
No, they don't ask, do you want to become the 51st
That
state?
was
Like,
literally the
I
wording. I'm not lying.
I do
Wish I
not
could-
believe that Ecos asks that at all.
There's a couple polls that
Who
have
would
looked
lie?
into this so that they have numbers and stats to have
Yeah.
the information. It's not necessarily nefarious, and I'm just putting it out there because it might not have been Wexit. It might have been a reputable survey, but then again, normally I think
But
reputable
who's paying for the
surveys
survey is
actually
the
tell you
question.
who.
So,
Who's paying for the survey? And they wouldn't answer that question. They couldn't tell me who had
So-
requested.
so when
That's super sus.
Time out, everybody. Time out. We're doing one at a time because we don't want everybody talking over each other because then nobody understands anything. So, Jana, finish what you were saying, and then I think Happy wanted to talk, and then Matthew wanted to talk. No? Happy, you're
No,
I
it's
good?
feel like if I were taking a guess, I feel like it was someone, the survey was for the government of Alberta. I feel like it was the government of Alberta asking these questions because there were a lot of very specific, other than the ones I talked about, very specific questions about funding schools, how I feel about how they're handling the deficit that we have in Alberta right now. Like, there are very specific Alberta questions there that made me feel like this was definitely an Alberta geared survey. They didn't ask about anybody but Danielle Smith. They didn't ask me what province I was from they only talked about Alberta. And the only question about all of Canada was, what do I feel about becoming the 51st state? And then I said no. And then they asked about, what do you feel about Alberta breaking off from the rest of Canada and becoming the 51st state?
What the?
Yeah, that's weird.
It was
Wow.
disturbing. I even told her, I said, these questions are honestly very disturbing. And I'm very disturbed that you're even asking me these questions. And I'm like, who is paying for this survey? She's like, oh, we cannot disclose that. That's when I asked, was at that point. I'm like, and she said, no, we cannot disclose this. And I'm like, what? Why not? And I would have done it anyway because I don't know, my spidey senses were tingling when I got this call because usually I just hang up on surveys. But I wanted to hear what this was about. So I think it was a UCP survey. I agree, Tiffany. I do.
Yeah, I wonder if that's honest to God what they're talking about when they went down south. Like, hey,
Yeah.
if
Absolutely
we
it
sort of
was.
turned a blind eye, would you guys park some troops on our oil fields?
Yeah, absolutely it was. Anybody that thinks any different is delusional.
I was so disturbed. Like,
Not impossible. Definitely not impossible.
so where was this poll?
I don't know how to answer that, Michael, because they wouldn't tell me who they were.
No, was it on Google talking about Alberta?
This was my phone. Somebody called me.
Was it the question? So was this question about Alberta or the whole country at large?
First, the question was about the whole country at large. Then the second question, the last question was Alberta alone.
Oh, okay. Well, I never got a call.
Well, they're not going to call everybody, Michael, but they will randomly call people.
Oh.
Yeah, like
I do feel like that was Alberta itself, just because you said they started with, do you feel Danielle Smith is doing a good job, right?
Exactly.
That
was the first question.
I've literally never been polled in my entire life.
I kind of feel she's enough of a narcissist to start a survey off with, hey, am I doing a good job?
I find it kind of odd that a poll. So they want to do a poll to see if Alberta wants to leave Canada. I guess Alberta's become
Why
the
is
new.
that odd? There's a group. There's a separatist movement in Alberta.
I guess Alberta.
Just wait, Michael. There's a separatist movement in Alberta that has money behind it. They have support. It would be very easy for them to hire somebody to do a poll. So it's not inconceivable that they would be testing the waters.
I guess
It was
Alberta.
a polling company that did it. So
Hold on, can we just let Michael respond and then Jana, you? Sorry, I just want to try to keep it so that everybody can talk.
I guess Alberta is the new Quebec.
It's a little different though. It's a little different though because Wexit is backed by a lot of United States money.
Oh.
Yes.
Which is illegal now. So those people are going to start getting arrested, and then the people in the States are going to be like, but freedom, and we'll be like, click, click.
Treason.
it's also not impossible.
I think we're going to turn around and say, you guys don't even have freedom of speech anymore. Hush.
I wonder, like, I got a 1-800 number call that I didn't answer, and I wonder if it was that survey. I
don't even know if it came through 1-800. I can't check because I'm on my phone. I don't want to get booted. But it was a 780 number. It was a 780 number.
It was.
Now that I think about it.
I'm tempted to call my MP tomorrow and be like, what the hell?
Actually, that's a really good idea. I'm going to call my MLA tomorrow.
Yeah, call your MLA and call your MP because, like, what the hell?
Well, obviously I don't need to call my MP because I'm in Ontario.
Yeah. No, but I'm going to call mine tomorrow because it was very Alberta based. Like all of the questions about education were Alberta. So it is an Alberta.
I find it odd why weren't they allowed to share that?
You said, "Oh, Mom, you're funny."
Because the contract that they have is that they have to keep whoever the survey is from anonymous.
Smarshy, you had your hand up.
Oh, sorry. I was just typing that's laughable because someone's in the comments saying she sounds more level-headed than lives in NDP. That's laughable.
Okay.
Anyway, I was just I'm trying to wrap my head around this, Jana. Like, are you what? We're not going to be separated from the country that we were based in. It's just.
Isn't Alberta scared? I'm scared as an Albertan.
I'm terrified right now.
I am scared too.
Honestly, Danielle Smith, what you guys have to understand, Danielle Smith has a lot of people from Alberta who's a part of her base. I talk to them all the time. Not all the time, but they say Danielle Smith is doing a good job. I say, well, she's under investigation right now because of the whole healthcare thing. Like, also doing a good job.
No, but this is the thing. Oh God, I don't know how I can say it more. I can say this. This is not a joke.
No,
you're not. You don't understand. This is our livelihood that they're messing with.
Jana, I just had an idea. Since they called you, and obviously all the rest of us are upset who are on here from Alberta, why don't you call CTV or Global News? Have them do a wonderful investigation and expose on this. I bet you might be interested.
10 of 10.
Just leave it alone. Just leave.
No,
this is illegal.
Because that's how you got Trump and his nonsense. You don't leave shit alone like this. It's not okay. Have them do an investigative report. I'm pretty sure CTV Global, someone in this province in news is going to want to investigate this and find out what the hell.
Tiffany, there's the W5 News in Canada. They will do an expose on this.
Oh,
Do
W5
it.
is good.
Call them. Contact them.
Jenna, I'll contact you after the live and I'll get you the information you need for this because this is disturbing as fuck.
Can I
I
We
would love
can,
to talk to someone about
I
it.
have can we please talk one at a time, guys? Please. So when somebody's talking, please wait for them to pause for long enough to know that they're done talking before you start talking, because it just gets way too crazy and then nobody can hear anything. So I'm please asking for that going forward. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
If not, then I will just start making a list of people, and I'm going to get you guys to put your hand up in the chat, and I'll make a list. So if that doesn't work, I'll do my list. Go ahead. Whoever was talking last, I think it was Tiffany.
Yes, I just had the idea come to me like this is one of those things where I would contact the media, because the media will figure out kind of at least as much as they can legally, find out what the hell's going on, and if nothing else, it will be exposed on news. And people in Alberta who aren't the 3% separatist losers. Sorry if anybody's in this chat who is, but you know what? If you don't want to be here, bye. We don't do that in our province. Bye. And they can at least expose it, like because this is not okay. The U.S. waited too long to do anything, and we can't wait. If shit like this is happening, we need to expose it immediately and on a large scale. And the media can help with that, be it an investigative report from W5, be it the CTV or whoever, CBC. It doesn't really matter. Like, I'd say use the media for this.
I'm going to start with CBC and W5.
Yeah.
And
W5.
yeah.
I
definitely avoid using American news sources for this.
I definitely won't be calling Fox News. I can tell you that much.
Well,
can I find this on Google about Alberta wanting to separate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where can I find this?
You can find it anywhere on TikTok, Google, any social media engine.
I look on Google all the time because why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? Because I was looking forward to hearing another good night about my Liberal team.
Okay, but this is the Wexit movement has been around for a long time. And if you guys were here on Tuesday night, I read out the article that was written by Malcolm Nance, who is an intelligence and foreign policy analyst who frequently discusses like history, personalities, and organization of. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. He knows what he's talking about, and he's been writing a lot about the real plans and the real threats from the United States to take over Canada, and that they're not joking around. This is real. And one of the first things that he talked about was the Wexit movement. That is how they're going to start. They're going to start in Alberta and Saskatchewan particularly, because they are using propaganda and they're using a lot of United States influence to try to get these people to want to become the 51st state and normalizing it so they could go after those provinces first for their oil and gas. And it's all been written about. And you can literally search it up. You can message me on my personal profile after the live. I can send you links, but the information is all there.
So if they start with Alberta and Saskatchewan, will they try to go to Quebec and Ontario after?
That'd be a mistake.
We don't know. There's a lot of different opinions of how they're going to do this. But it was talked about the fact that at first they're going to want to get Canadians to just be on board without any force, to get them to just sign on for it.
Well, CBC has been talking about Donald Trump wanting Canada to be the 51st state basically every day. For a little bit, and then we'll talk about the Liberals and their new leader, the rise in the polls again. But other than that, we just talk about Carney.
Yeah, I want Smarshy. I know she's had her hand up for a while, so Smarshy, go ahead.
Oh, someone in the comments put Midas Touch and Rachel Gilmore to get a hold of her as well, because she does a lot of research into like what's going on in Alberta. Yeah. So Rachel Gilmore and Midas Touch. That's another great idea that's in here. And they're not going to take our land. They're not going to take it away because they would have to get all of First Nations, all of Métis, and all of Inuit to sign over their land, and we ain't fucking doing it. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of surprised I'm hearing this. Okay, kind of shocked. Very shocking. Um, maybe we should just wait and see what happens.
No.
That's what the
Uh,
Yanks did, and look how that went.
We can't wait, Michael. We have to not sit on our hands anymore. We have to do something now. If
okay,
we don't,
well,
it's going to be too late.
somebody needs to go call the media and have them investigate this. Or
That's
Yeah.
what
just
we're
talk
talking
about it.
about.
Oh, okay, well, thank you.
I mean, yeah, and me, somebody, I actually came across a video today where I forgot his name, but here, let me open up the link and see what his actual name is because I keep forgetting. It's Richard Romer. So World War II veteran. I think he's like 101 years old right now. But he had an interview with TiVo today, and he talked about the real threat. And he said that like 100% this is going to happen. So I suggest that people watch the interview. He talked about what it's going to look like, what type of resistance we need to put up. He talked about the fact that they're most likely going to go for like the airport and the big city centers first, and we need to kind of like catch them in those areas. And then he talked a lot about like military strategy. I don't want to get into it too much. I wish that I was on TikTok Studio so I could actually bring up the video so that we could all watch it. It's a 20-minute interview. I don't know if any of you guys have the ability to play an interview, but that's a good one to watch right now. It's called Canada's Most Decorated Soldier on a War with America by The Agenda. I can't send it to you right now, Tiffany, because I'm in the middle of a live, but I can send it to you after. Just DM me on my personal account and
Yeah,
I'll send it over.
yeah, I will.
And this was March 11th, so this was 2 days ago that this interview took place.
Yeah, I will.
I saw it yesterday.
Hmm?
I saw it yesterday.
Well, it says here that it was uploaded March 11th.
Yeah. He talks about because he's written 2 books about the
Yes.
US
Yeah.
attacking Canada. They're both works of fiction, but he uses like his military background to kind of imagine how it would go. And he doesn't have great outlooks if it were to happen that they tried to invade us with military force.
Yeah.
However,
I didn't want
don't know
to.
that they are going to do that, but it certainly seems like that's what they plan to do. Eventually.
Did you guys see that the Secretary General of NATO was with Trump as Trump literally said that they are going to try and take us no matter what, that he is going to keep pushing for it, and the Secretary General said nothing. Like just said nothing.
What?
Was just completely silent.
Honestly,
He was just silent. Just silent.
host. This really goes to show who Canada's friends are in the world. I sure you saw a few weeks ago the UK Prime Minister, when he was trying to speak, Donald Trump said that's enough. So we don't really have friends in the world. It's just us.
What are you talking about?
Well, we
It's
don't.
not
We
just
don't.
us.
We don't know that, and I'm not saying that NATO is not going to jump to our defense here. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that everybody is scared of saying the wrong thing because they don't want to escalate the situation any faster. So they're trying to be very, very careful. It's just like it's one of those things where it's like we wish that he would have said something, but I can maybe understand why he didn't. But it sucks, right? Because the Trump administration is going to use every tiny little incidents like this to show that we're weak, even though it's not the case. Like we do have a lot of allies. Everybody loves Canada. We've helped out in so many different wars. I highly doubt that they're just going to leave us behind and do nothing. I think that what's most likely taking place, as we're seeing the situation with Ukraine as well right now, is that world leaders are scared of sounding aggressive or doing anything that's going to, cause more tension because we need to buy time in order to actually prepare.
Yeah, very likely he listened to that and he was analyzing what exactly the threat is, how serious Trump is about it, and he was like, okay, I'm going to need to strategize on this, but this is not the time to be bringing it back up. So he was silent in that regard, not because of the fact that he agrees with Trump, not because he thinks that it's a good idea, but because of the fact that
Yeah.
he doesn't want to escalate the situation.
Yeah, that's why.
Exactly.
That's why I don't escalate the situation when it comes to the 51st state conversation. I just say okay. Whenever I go on MAGA Lives, I just say okay. Canada will never be part of the 51st state. They say you guys will. President Trump has talked about it. I said no, we don't want that. The vast majority of Canadians don't want to be American. So doing after that, I just leave it. Maybe there should be a conversation about that with CBC. I don't know if because CBC is very busy right now talking about carneying the Liberals and their new leader and how the Liberals are rising in the polls again.
I mean, the CBC has talked about it. The CBC's been pointing out a lot that this is something we need to take seriously. They pointed out the insane amount of times that the Orange Cheetah Mussolini down south has said that we need to be the 51st state. I mean, they literally keep repeating it every day. And the repeating it is part of the psychological warfare of trying to normalize it.
No,
Michael, I'd like to interject and look at the bottom of CBC, and it says CBCNN.
Yeah, I know
CNN at the end.
CNN.
CBCNN. When you look at CBC and you look on the TV, in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see CBCNN on any of their broadcasting. It started about a week ago.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see they've changed a little bit of their title now because it just used to say.
I wonder why.
Because I just call them CBC.
I'm not addressing the part of how you call them that. I'm saying that it's become a big American slant, right?
Oh.
And the face of CBC has changed a lot in the past 2 years. And we're seeing a very American way about them that doesn't support Canadian democracy for the most part. Just my thoughts.
NN stands for News Network.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Sorry, Miss Article. I was going to say, like, I don't want us to think that we don't have friends in the world. I think they're really trying to be extremely diplomatic here. Like, people were getting all up in arms because King Charles had given that letter to Trump, and like, what does that mean? Is the UK kind of leaving us in the dust? And that's not the case, because I think a day or 2 days later, you saw him wearing Canadian stuff. And that's where the king is showing his allegiance, his alliance to Canada. The royalty, as well as UK, they're not going to be really confrontational about this. It's going to be sneaky little things. They'll wear certain things. They'll say certain things that are Trump's and his peeps are just not going to understand. Like, it'll go way above their head. And that's the reason they're doing this, because all of us have to come up with a plan to deal with all of this. And on top of it, we have to remember Europe's got their own threat going on too right now. And that's the other part of the problem. And this is the purpose that Russia has been doing, is they're trying to make a great divide between North and South America and Europe and all of the rest. They're trying to make sure that one part of us is isolated. And it is going to make it hard for us. I don't think we're going to get left. I don't think for 1 second any of them would ever leave us in the lurch for any reason whatsoever. Now, whether they're going to put boots on the ground in Canada if we needed it, I don't know. That would be it. That being said, I don't think for 1 second we are solely reliant specifically on just Europe as allies too. I think we have a lot of allies around the world that maybe we haven't signed contracts with, but I really, I don't know. I don't see it.
I know.
No, Michael, hold on a second. Jana had her hand up, and then Palm Mom, because we haven't heard from her either.
Okay, sounds good. I just wanted to focus on something that you had said, which is this is psychological warfare, and we really have to pay attention, because you're absolutely right. What Trump is doing And I saw him today again talk about the artificial line that is the border. All borders are artificial lines, but he's using language that is normalizing it not really meaning anything, right? What they're doing right now is they're trying to get people used to the idea. So he's going to say it again and again and again and again, and he wants to normalize it and get us to be complacent, so that we just figure it's going to happen anyway. So like, why? What are we going to do about it? And he keeps telling us why we're going to benefit from it, and it's lies. Because Trump lies about everything.
There's literally no benefit to becoming the USA.
Sure, your taxes will be lower. Your taxes will be lower because you're not going to have health care anymore. You're not going to have Social Security. You're not going to have CPP benefits. You're not going to have a lot of things. We pay higher taxes for more services. So anyway, 100%. I just wanted to mention that, like, what Trump is doing is very strategic. Like I like that it is a method of just breaking us down a little bit at a time. So next year, or however many months, when he does try to do something, we just figure it's just going to happen anyway. Or we've been hearing so much about it, we get overloaded and we start shutting it out. But either way, we can't get complacent about this. Is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah,
for sure. I'm going to get Palm Mom next. And then can I just get everybody to please mute their mics if they're not speaking, because we're getting a lot of background noise. Thank you. Oh, that's much better. Palm Mom, welcome.
Hi, nice to see everybody. This is kind of off topic, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought of what went down with the trade war talks today at the White House. When Doug Ford came out, he just said a lot of nothing burgers, and they didn't really talk about what went on. And the guy he was talking to, of course, went wild on his side of the border again. So it's just, are we tariffing? Are we not? What is going on? So I'd love to hear all of your thoughts. And I'm going to mute myself now.
I was going to say, Johnny, did you want to say something? I know you had your camera on earlier. Do you have a response for that? Hi, thanks for popping in.
Hi. Just with the tariffs, like, I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's a lot of posturing, and I'm not really sure what's going to come from it. I know it's going to keep escalating until it gets to a certain point, and I don't know what that point's going to be, but I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. So,
Jana,
I just wanted to quickly add, it's part of the psychological warfare, is to keep us guessing.
Yeah.
And don't be surprised if he does put tariffs in and then takes them out and then changes them, and then he's going to keep switching it up. And it's just to keep us on the edge of our seats, listening and paying attention, because God knows Trump loves attention.
I was going to say, I still think that this whole tariff thing is to crash the stock markets, to make it go like this. At the end of the day, businesses cannot run properly if they don't know what's going to be happening. And so when you keep businesses guessing, you are going to continue to crash the stock market. When you do that, billionaires can buy everything up nice and low, and they can gain control of all their competition. They can create monopolies. And then again, I want to bring this up again because it was brought up even last night in JB's Live. It's been brought up before by a lot of the other content creators that I follow. And I brought it up myself about 3-4 weeks ago when Elon Musk saying that he's going to go to Fort Knox to check if all the gold is still there. I can almost guarantee you that he's going to go in and he's going to be like, oh, this gold's missing. Our dollar is in free fall. We need to do something. And then bam, they're going to try to introduce crypto. And if they introduce crypto, then they're going to try and incentivize people to use it. And then we're going to be in free fall in our economy in Canada. And so they're going to be like, oh, if you want us to save the Canadian economy, you just have to, buy into this whole crypto thing and become the 51st state. So I think this is all a plan to try and take us by economic warfare. That's what I personally believe. Ms. Radical.
So I'm a little bit different than you. I think that I believe a little bit in what David Wallace said to me a couple months ago on his live in the summer, where he said, can you mute your mic, please? where he said he believed, and he had heard through conservative circles, that actually Doug Ford is the mark for the PM, and Pierre Poilievre is not. Conservatives have known all along that Pierre Poilievre is deeply unlikable, and when I see the way Doug Ford is posturing right now, I can't help but wonder if that's a little bit true. It's amazing how Doug Ford is posturing. He's the one that looks like the PM of Canada right now.
You know,
That's
oh,
I think that
that
would be
seems to be
career
the look.
suicide.
Um, Career suicide for who?
Ford, he just
We
made an
can't say that
incredibly
word. We hold
expensive.
on. We cannot. We
Oh,
cannot say the
yeah,
S word. So please, everybody, if you're going to say anything, say self-unaliving, but you cannot say that word, or we're going to get banned.
yeah.
I think it would be incredibly harmful to his career given he just did a snap unnecessary election that cost Canada millions of dollars.
I think that way it was very strategic. That way he could keep the Conservatives in power in Ontario, and he could still run. He'd pass
He
that baton
cannot.
on. It's just
I
my
still.
conspiracy theory. You don't have to agree with it. It's just my thoughts, Frontline.
No, I know, but we're having a discussion, so I
Yeah,
thought I would just
yeah.
add in that, like, legally, if this election is coming up in May, he does not have enough time, but he could run in the next federal election.
there,
And
Or
the
if
thing with
Pierre
our,
Poilievre steps down.
there has been this long joke about Doug Ford wanting Pierre Poilievre's job. I've known about the joke. Um, you know, I don't think Doug Ford is going anywhere. He won a firm majority here in Ontario. He's pretty happy as here in Ontario at the moment. But if Pierre Poilievre loses this election, he's going home. It happened with Andrew Scheer. It happened with Aaron O'Toole. It will happen to Pierre Poilievre.
can Doug Ford speak French?
I don't think I've really heard him speak French.
No.
I extremely doubt it.
I
So
don't
I
think
don't
he
think he
can.
can.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, so
Or
I don't think he can run in. Hold on. I don't think he can run in this next federal election because I think he would actually have to brush up on his French because otherwise he wouldn't be able to run in a federal election.
Right,
I think he would have to like spend a little bit of time learning French.
right.
TT, go for it.
thanks. Hey guys, how's everybody? Nice to see you. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to say a couple of things about some stuff that was spoken about before. Um, and I agree with a few points. Frontline, I agree with your notion about the destabilization of the market. Like I've heard a lot of economic analysis that are pointing to that. I also just wanted to mention because I worked in media for many years, and so I didn't see who was speaking, and not to like disagree with you, but I found an article from The Guardian from 2010 about how CBC rebranded itself as CBCNN, which stands for News Network. So its connection to CNN or BNN, the British News Network, is more of the purpose of rebranding themselves as a
Hmm.
legitimate news network. It has nothing to do with American ownership. So CBC is still a really great legitimate information source for us here in Canada. And they're, I don't think any media bias have labeled them as having any specific bias towards America at all either. So so there's that. And then the other thing, sorry, I don't want to take up too much time here, but um Johnny, I kind of agree with what you were saying. Like you guys are discussing what I see. Well, I agree with what all of you guys were saying, that these are credible threats. And we have to take all of the threats seriously, but also, like, I was living in America for the first Trump presidency, and I'm not sure like how closely people that weren't there were paying attention to what was happening, but this is a much scarier 2.0 version, but the game is the same. And so there's a lot of intentional triggering, bullying, and posturing that's happening on purpose, to destabilize and to also distract. It's sort of like, I think, a shock and awe kind of system where if you put everybody into a state of um, reaction and fear, then it divides everybody, right? So now he's sort of notched this up to a global scale, and he's threatened so many people across the world. Also, what we saw in the first Trump presidency was a lot of posturing and triggering about things that were not carried forward on. And then other things happening more quietly, which I think is a very typical fascism kind of tactic as well. So, like, not that that gives us any kind of relief from, because, it is a credible threat and we have to be worried here in Canada, but also, like, it's really hard to disseminate what the actual goals are or what actual things are going to be attacked and what is just, and you've seen a lot of this, like just in the tweets and in the things that Trump and Musk have said in their speeches, like they're just throwing out things like random attacks, even the schmaltzy salute. Um, like a lot of the purpose of that was about triggering and scaring everybody else. Like I think it's twofold. It's signaling those people, but also it was an intentional kind of bully tactic to scare and upset people. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do with that, but I really think that, this is the game. And so I guess my idea is to just keep our eyes open and keep watching and keep trying to figure out what sort of strategic things are happening behind the scenes that aren't being exposed because of all the public fodder, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. I think that I personally think that the two things that we have going for us in terms of evidence as to where they're going to go with this is one, Project 2025. There's a Project 2025 tracker. You can see how much he's already done from that. And that will give us a very fair clue as to where he's going. And also the Butterfly Revolution, written by Curtis Yarvin, which is almost a parallel to Project 2025, but talks about also moving the American finance over to crypto. So I think those are like our two base documents that'll give us a good clue as to where they're going to take it.
Yes, and just quickly to add, also look like everyone should take a look at Curtis Yarvin's Rage Plan, retire all government employees from 2012, because that is essentially what Doge is.
And that is exactly part of the revolution that he wrote. I think that's step two as part of the 7-step plan.
What's a
Did
good
you?
resource that I can read about the butterfly revolution? Like, who
Just
has
type it
written
into
about
Google.
that?
Just type it
Okay,
into Google. You'll see the actual thing written by himself, by Curtis.
will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't verify. Like I don't have the exact numbers, but does anybody know how much money, federal money in the United States has gone to like one of Elon Musk's companies since he's been helping Donald Trump?
So much.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I
He's
can put myself
clearing
on
out
silent
all
while
of
you guys talk and figure it out.
he's been like clearing out all of these government places that would be the oversight to prevent people from doing that. He's got Grok 3, like the one of the most state of the art artificial intelligences. I wouldn't doubt if they try to incorporate that AI as part of the administrative workforce within the government. So Elon Musk would be replacing all of those people with his own AI.
Yeah, Happy, it's a
Uh,
really good point. And also, like, I saw that graph from the Times that showed that all of the government departments that are being attacked all had claims against different Musk companies. So it's kind of twofold. Like, there's both the profit, and then also he's dismantling the resistance to him being able to just do unfettered capitalism.
You know, still kind of in shock when I heard about that poll in Alberta Um, I watch CBC all the time. They talk about the 51st state, and what Donald Trump is doing, but let's just see if they actually talk about investigating this more. It's up to them if they want to investigate it or not. I think we have bigger things to worry about at the moment, but that's just me.
I
What, Michael?
think a separatist movement blossoming in Alberta during a Trump administration is
Imagine.
absolutely a priority for this country and should not be shrugged off. We've known about Wexit tears for years. The Reform Party, the Alliance Party, and now Stephen Harper is back in the mix. This is glaringly obvious.
I
Correction, Happy. Stephen Harper never left the mix. Respectfully. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the Wexit and the convoy, like, and a lot of that has deep ties to a lot of the YT supremacy movements here in Canada. I'm trying to remember what the source is that, like, I looked at a few years ago. That really, like, there's different human rights watch groups that really track who a lot of these associations are, and they unfortunately have a lot of associations in media as well. Um, not generally the mainstream media, but like a lot of the fringe stuff and like Rebel and um yeah.
Yeah, Rebel. I I wouldn't say I watch Rebel News, but Rebel News will criticize Doug Ford and say, why are you criticizing Donald Trump?" I said, "Well, it's just Rebel being Rebel."
No,
Actually,
they call Doug Ford a liberal
yeah,
because
he's
of
not.
the actions that he took during the CV-19
Yeah,
lockdown.
he's not liberal.
No,
He
I know he's not. We
he
know he's not.
he's a progressive liberal, progressive conservative, like what the conservatives used to be.
Asking a
Is
question for a friend. What's a progressive about the party or anything that he's done?
no, I mean, you know, he's worked with Trudeau. He's he's more to Pierre Poilievre's left. I think the party will be searching for a new.
Asking you that, I was asking you what makes him that. I understood what you said, but what makes him that? What makes him progressive? What makes him left of Pierre Poilievre?
Honestly, I can't think of that right now.
Because
So
he's absolutely attacked our healthcare. He's trying to privatize healthcare. He's selling away public lands to private companies. He's facilitating sweetheart deals with his construction buddies. He's profiteering off of a public health emergency. He's attacked other public infrastructure like education. He's put money into police forcing. And yeah, like he's totally a conservative. There's nothing that he has done that is anything to do with progressive or left of center.
Um, I honestly, I think, I think it's just honestly, Donald Trump said this is what he was going. He never said about the 51st state question, but he said he was going to make sure he would do all he could on day one. Um,
that
it's
doesn't make somebody progressive.
oh, okay. I'll just make myself known then.
Well, no, sorry, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying that him talking about Donald Trump in whatever way he decides to talk about doesn't make him progressive. What makes somebody progressive is the policies that they actually put in place. And he has not put in any progressive policies in place whatsoever. So that's what we're trying to say, right? It's not about that's the thing. People need to stop getting hung up on the words of the politicians and look at their actual policies and what they do, right?
Oh,
And not just that, it's just that the far right has vilified Doug Ford and used him as like a whipping post, like they're putting him out there being like, that's not far enough right, therefore it's liberal. And that's how that started. That's how that venom permeated in our system, and just kind of like tears down the truth of anything, right? It's because we accept it. Oh, somebody said it, so we're going to accept it. And that's what I was trying to say. I'm not attacking your position or your right to have an opinion. And that might have sounded harsh, but I didn't mean it to be. I just started rambling off and talking about Doug Ford. So I apologize if I came off.
I want to quickly just go back to what Happy was asking in terms of like how much money has Elon Musk made since the beginning of all of this. And so that's why I haven't really been able to find any numbers, is because Elon Musk has fired anybody who can give us any numbers. That's the honest truth, right? I mean, we have reports that suggest that SpaceX and Tesla have received favorable considerations under the current administration. They've been awarded more government contracts, more potential policy adjustments that benefit him, but there's no numbers that we can go off of because every single government agency that could give us those numbers has been silenced.
I've been pretty pleased that Doug Ford has been being Captain Canada. I guess he feels like he wants to fill that role. He definitely wants to have a future back in Ottawa. I guess he feels like the federal Liberals, with what's been going on back in Ottawa with the whole leadership race, in party fighting, he says Ontario's the biggest province. Let me just be Captain Canada until the Liberals are done with party fighting. So I've been pretty pleased.
Happy. Oh, okay, because I thought that was a hand up. Never mind. All right. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
And then we'll go to Palm Mom after.
I personally think all of this posturing by Ford is literally to set him up as the next chess piece for the Conservative plan in Canada. They want to set him up so he looks like this amazing, great guy. He's fighting for Canada. What an amazing man. Like, oh man, because all of the other, let's be honest, Conservative leaders in this country are, oh, what words can I use for Smith? What adjectives can I go with? And
I got some.
Mo's been oddly silent as far as I've seen. Michael, can I finish, please? Mo's been oddly silent, or at least I haven't seen him really come forward with. And PP's, well, he couldn't sell somebody a paper bag of popcorn if they were starving. Let's be real. And so they're setting him up as the next chess piece. He's totally Maple Mega. Anybody who thinks otherwise is not paying attention to the red flags all over the place. He's like literally walking around with one of those red flags that you see in a WoW game.
The hat, Tiffany.
The hat and everything. Like, they're setting him up as the next piece. They're going to try to psychologically get us to think he's just this nice guy. He's all for the people, la 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 la. And then next election, they're going to put him forward. I think they'll slide him into PP's place in about a year or two, is my suspicion. We'll see if I'm right. This is all just a theory, but they're literally setting him up as the next chess piece to take down Canada. Because once he's in place, they'll start with Project Canada 2025, whatever that, or 2029 or whatever year they're going to implement it here. Because ideally, they want to set it up just like Austria was in the 30s, so that they can walk in with no resistance, and we are just gonna be like, "Yay, they're here!"
Yeah.
And they're just playing a long game. They're playing a long game with Canada right now. It'll happen at some point. The history books have written it already.
Yeah.
So don't think he's a good guy, Michael. He's not. He's not for the people. He's not for the country. He's not for anybody. He is for him.
Tiffany, I didn't vote for him. But I do think he's been doing a pretty good job at uniting Canada, being Captain Canada. Obviously the Liberal obviously the Liberals have been doing other matters. I look forward to a Prime Minister, Carney taking the reins, being Captain Canada tomorrow. I'm very pleased. I like Mark Carney. I'm more to where he is, more conservative leanings.
May I inject momentarily on that comment? Considering what you just said, um, I have a tendency to disagree with you, and I regard the last 10 years quite favorably. And my question is what more would you want from a prime minister than what we've seen out of Justin Trudeau in the last 2 weeks alone? Uh, and before that, if you ask me, but like just in this last little period, what more would you want a prime minister to do?
You know, I think Justin Trudeau's been good, but it's time to move on. Let's give Carney that chance.
I mean, we have.
People are still talking about his election.
So
that's not
those
the
are people
answer.
those are people that are just running propaganda. So it's not like any of that has any basis in reality.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, what would you bring up that you wouldn't be feeling comfortable with? Like that we had the Liberal leadership race, Liberal Party members voted for Carney. Carney is going to get sworn in as the MP until the next federal election, and then we all get to vote as Canadians for a new prime minister. So I don't understand what the issue is there.
No, I'm comfortable. I feel like with the Liberals, focusing on their issues and in party and leadership, there's been that void, and I think that's the reason why Doug Ford has been doing it for them. So it would be nice for Mark Carney to do it when he's official prime minister tomorrow.
No, we don't want Carney to act like a maple MAGA. No.
No, I didn't see that. I mean, it would be nice for him to have that prime minister role. Obviously, he will be official prime minister. I think for the last little while, Doug Ford has taken upon himself to say, okay, I'll be Captain Canada.
We don't need a Captain Canada. We do not need a Captain Canada. The person you were talking about is literal maple MAGA. It's the same as Trump and all his cronies with the stupid dumb hat and the stupid dumb things and the stupid sayings and basically everything PP's been doing. We don't need a Captain Canada. We need somebody who knows what they're doing in their job and can protect our country economically, physically, emotionally, all of it. Trudeau has done an amazing job when put to the test in crazy, insane situations such as a pandemic, economic crisis from the pandemic, this whole thing with Trump. Like literally his whole 10 years has been, I'm surprised Trudeau looks as amazing as he does because he should be super great and super old from all the stress. I won't lie. But we need another leader like that, somebody who gives us confidence, somebody who makes us feel calm, somebody who has our backs 100% of the time, always. We do not need somebody who wears some dumbass hat, who says all the dumbass slogans and acts like a dumbass American. Sorry, if you want dumbass American shit, you can go to America and get dumbass American shit. This is Canada. We act properly in this country and we have each other's backs. It's the reason I'm fighting so hard to figure out how I can get rid of Smith. And it's annoying from Edmonton. It's frustrating as all myself from Edmonton trying to figure out how to get rid of her. But you know what? We need to have each other's backs always, 100% of the time, and we can't have ding dongs running the show.
Well said, Tiffany.
Thank you. Yay, I released all my anger for the day.
Get it out.
I also wanted to add to that in terms of like what Michael was saying is that we can't, unfortunately, nobody has control over what the premiers choose to do. Like Doug Ford took that upon himself, just like Danielle Smith is taking it upon herself to go down to Florida and have a big old gala with Ben Shapiro. That nobody told them to do that. And also even if somebody told them not to do that, they still have their free will to do whatever they want. So it's not like Doug Ford came in to save the day. No, he came in to do political theater, to make himself look good so that he can, posture himself as Captain Canada. But like nobody asked him to do that. He did that on his own. It sucks that we can't control the premiers. That would be nice. Because I don't think the federal government is very pleased right now that they did that.
No, they're totally undermining the federal government. But the other thing
Totally.
Yeah.
is they're overstepping what they can actually do.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing. Like they're going beyond. Like Doug Ford is talking about interfering with private businesses when he says to cut things off, right? Like, I'm all for retaliation and standing your ground and all these other things, but reality has to set in at some point. And this guy doesn't have the power or the authority to speak on behalf of everyone like that.
Yeah. Just like Danielle Smith said that she's.
Yeah, that's
I was sorry. There was a couple of. I was going to say Danielle Smith has made legislation and put it in place so that the federal government can't give funds to Alberta businesses, et cetera, without the provinces say so. Yet she is more than willing to go parlay herself to the Orange Cheeto on behalf of Canada. So cons are they're literally a contradiction in term. They're hypocrites. They want power and that's all they care about. So anybody who's all about Captain Canada, it's a front for they want complete power of this country and they are willing to give it over to Trump. That is the end of the story right there.
Just like how Danielle Smith said that when
Johnny
she
is
goes.
Captain Canada.
Yeah.
No,
Johnny is
I
Captain
know.
Canada.
I
Um,
wouldn't go that far.
I just wanted, because Ben Shapiro came up, so I just wanted to circle back because I've been trying to remind myself of this research that I did. I actually did it while I was in America under the first Trump presidency. And I think that like now, like forgive me if you guys already know any of this information because I think a lot of this has been more exposed now, which is a relief to me. But I just wanted to say, we have awareness about like Ben Shapiro sucking and Jordan Peterson and people like that, but I'm not sure that it's totally visible yet how sophisticated this entire media network truly is and how there's big money behind it and it's all connected and there's a reason why we see these narratives getting repeated over and over and over again. I don't know if everybody here knows who Ezra Levant is, um, but he, as a former employee of the Toronto Sun, which is a mainstream media that is also basically it keeps
Conservative.
itself cordial, but they tip the line. He came from there. He was spearheaded the Sun News Network. Ezra Levant, he's affiliated. Like I recall when I was in America, I think this was like whenever Charlotte happened and he had Laura Loomer working as a reporter for him. He also he's the creator of Rebel News. She was working for him as part of that. And then she went down and cozied up with the schmotzies there, like did this like buddy, like you can watch the videos. And then Ezra created some distance because that kind of explicitness was not good for his brand. But, he remained creating this basically it's Steve Bannon stuff. And I'm looking at an article from Vice, which ironically, Vice is a really good source about these things because Vice, of course, as you know, was created by Gavin McInnes, who later is like one of the biggest public like Fox News YT supremacists in Canada. Um, but I'm reading here that Ezra was taking out 200 URLs. A couple of examples here: thetruthaboutrefugees.com, stopantifa.com. I'm not sure of the long history of True North, but they're another one that, and I just read, what did I just read? They've rebranded themselves now as of February, they're called Juno. So keep your eyes open for that. But and then you also have the intellectual dark web. Like there's a reason why whenever somebody shows themselves as being extremist or right wing at all, suddenly they're cozying up to people like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson or Steven Crowder or whoever, because all of these people are part of the same network that's being deeply funded by right wing, and a lot of it is American money. Like, that is super ironic that, but I think that's the reason why we saw a lot of funding coming from America during the convoy as well. So all of these things are connected. All of these people and these narrative creators are connected. And it breaks my heart when I'm speaking to people and they tell me something that's like really just bonkers, and I ask them for a source, and I can tell that they have not vetted these sources, and then they name one of these places um, without, having just the enough media literacy to be able to dig a little deeper, or, so I just wanted to suggest, like, I mean, I think everybody here is wise to this, but like, just for anyone listening in the chat, like, always, if you're reading something that sounds a little bit sus, like, go start Googling and find out who is paying for that, who has created it, where's the money coming from that support, because we're relying more and more on, like, quote unquote independent sources, but I think that people can't necessarily always disseminate between what is legitimate and what is just part of this sophisticated network.
Exactly right.
Sorry, rant over, but
Yeah, that's exactly right, though. And then that's like the state of journalism in Canada right now, where people are confusing some random blogger for an actually accredited journalist. And it
100%.
sucks that Rachel Gilmore is not going to renew her. Um, I don't know her membership. I can't remember what they call it. Um, but like, I think the other point that you're talking about as well is this evangelism style politics that's going around. It seems to be like pervasive and has affected like a specific group of people, like in particular, like single men that are divorced, or like young men that are been rejected or don't have an ability to take rejection. And I think that has there's more people on the spectrums, but in the middle you still have a regular average, like whatever, 25-year-olds to 35-year-olds. But it's like this evangelism that preaches to them, that, oh, you were good enough, it's not your fault that you were rejected, it's their fault that you were rejected. Your ideology is fine, your opinion is fine, you're valid for all of these things. And they preach to them, and they preach to them, and they suck them in, and they have these mantras: get up and make your bed, and all this other stuff that you've learned as a child, and you hear these people repeating it to you, like, as this is a big fucking change in our lives, but like, it's an evangelism, and they buy into it like a religion, like a cult, right? And they're in full feet, and they don't care about the reality of the information that they're getting. It's an INCEL effect. That's really what it is. And that's my point, actually. And my ADD was going to take me on another rant. Listen, there's a guy in the request box that I'm going to drop down to and cycle through the boxes. So I'm going to drop down to the chat. And thank you all very much.
Great to hear from you,
Thank you,
Happy.
Happy.
Thanks, Happy.
Thanks, Happy.
Jana, I saw your hand up, and then I saw Miss Radical hand up. Did you still want to add something, or should we just go to Miss Radical?
I can add something. I wanted to talk a little bit about Danielle Smith quickly. And have any of you really looked into PragoU? PragoU,
Yes.
where she's
Oh, yeah.
terrifying, freaking terrifying stuff. They were taken down from the Google Play Store. Their app was actually taken down because they downplay slavery, they downplay racism, they downplay LGBTQ2S plus issues. They're very Christian, right wing based. They have stuff for children, basically indoctrinating videos for children on their website. I haven't had a chance to look through very many of them, but because honestly, it's pretty disturbing stuff. Oh, and also for for misinformation on how politics works and what parties represent and yada yada. It is basically a fake university. It's not actually a university. They just call themselves one. Candace Owens used to work there in 2021, if that says anything. Anything with Candace Owens' name on it is something to definitely take a few steps back and take a look at. Um, and the fact that she's going down there on our dime to do to meet, or is it a presentation she's doing? I think it's a presentation.
They are
Anyway,
doing, yeah, they're doing a full blown conference where they are the two main speakers, and people are paying, I think, what, $3,000 to be there?
yeah, I'm paying for that. I'm an Alberta resident, and my money is going for her to go to a far right wing fascio Christian organization that promotes outright lies. And
Yeah,
we're paying for
and
it.
and if you guys just quickly, there's also, so there's PragerU, but then there's also the ARC, which is run by Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
If you guys want to dig a little bit deeper into it, I made a full blown post on my personal page, Frontline Feminist, if you guys don't follow me. But it goes into detail about how massive and well funded and organized this movement is. So the ARC is all about shutting down climate action. So it's a big giant conference where you have all the big oil execs and conservative politicians from around the world that are coming together to basically shake hands and say, yep, we're going to ride this right-wing wave so that we can get more profits, because all of these progressive policies are killing our profits. And it goes a lot further than climate action. It goes towards saying that the Western culture is being under threat by immigrants, LGBTQ rights, feminism. Like, they're fully on board. There was an investigative journalist that, snuck his way in there to see what the conference is about. Really great article, if you guys want me to send it to you. But he was, these people were literally saying, like, women should be at home. LGBTQ people shouldn't exist. Just the most atrocious, vile threats on any sort of social progress that we've made so far. And it was the richest people in the world that were all shaking hands and coming together. And they were, praising Jordan Peterson like he was a god. Like, it was very cult-like. And I want to remind everybody that this is the guy that Pierre Poilievre sat down with 2 months ago.
Yep.
So if you don't know anything about the ARC, look it up and then figure out if this is the way that you want Canada to go, because they are coming for Canada. And there was tons of Canadian conservative politicians at this giant conference. So the PragerU, ARC, these are very, very, very well-funded conferences that are being put together. And one of the most disturbing parts that I read was that at this conference, they had security guards nicknamed White Coats to make sure that they weren't being infiltrated by anybody.
Yeah,
So much.
I think it's really important. And on the other side of the coin, or I don't even know if we could even say it that, but this money is also going towards suppressing resistant voices as well. And we're seeing that just blatantly in America right now. We're seeing it on a bunch of different fronts. But like, in terms of attacking of leftist media, or just media that is non-compliant to these narratives, there's a reason why we see rhetoric about defunding CBC. Like, that's no accident, right? And I mean, in America, it's getting really bad. Like, they kicked out the AP from the White House. So they're being explicit, but this is definitely something, Peter Thiel, who's the big money that got JD Vance elected, he destroyed Gawker. He used his money to take down Gawker because Gawker outed him. And, he also wrote a book called The Diversity Myth. You can guess what that's about, right? And where he's at about that. But like, there's billionaire money behind destroying dissenting voices and journalism. And that is just fascism. It's super
Yes.
scary.
Pierre Poilievre definitely has to take some ownership and some responsibility for saying, "Oh, I will defund the CBC." He's the one who started this 3 years ago, and this basis said, "Oh, that's okay." I'm not okay with that, with defunding the CBC. I watch CBC every day. I watch CTV. I watch Global News. CBC is bias. They have people who are from all parties. Vashi Kapos holds everybody accountable, liberals, conservatives, and NDP accountable. Pierre Polyev is yet to sit down with Vashi Kapelos, but he will go on Rebel News and True North to have a conversation with them. And I'm not a progressive. I'm more of a conservative. I'm more of a moderate. But I cannot vote for a conservative under Pierre Polyev. If it was Aaron O'Toole, then yeah, but not with Polyev. I was for Polyev at one point, but yeah.
You're absolutely right, Michael, and it's not a mistake. There's a goal.
But I could bring myself to vote for conservatives under Aaron O'Toole.
So a couple of points that I want to bring up here. For PragerU, stats they had, it's registered as a 503, so it means it has to give its revenue for 2021, I believe it was. 2021, their revenue was $56 million. Just to give you an idea of the scale of how much money these guys are receiving to be able to generate whatever content PragerU comes out with. As for the art conference, the particular thing I noticed is all the people, the attendees, and people are related to it. And for Canada, obviously, there's Jordan Peterson as well as Leslyn Lewis that's also in that group. But one of the names that also jumped out to me was Mike Johnson, the current head of the House in the U.S. Congress. So, yeah, these guys are all in positions. These guys, while all the right wingers scream at WF trying to take over and run things, you've got ARC with people from positions of powers in governments right now meeting together to run their agenda. But that one's fine. Every accusation is a confession.
Yeah. Just scary times.
Yes, snaps, Joe.
Like, they're very organized. I can tell by their website. And the fact that they're targeting children. Like, a lot of their videos are for your kids to get them young.
Oh, the fear for your kids has been a long thing. Even during World War II, a lot of people have made that statement where World War II, a lot of the messaging in regards to things to be addressed was exactly that, where you needed to, you need to protect the kids from all sorts of the bad people.
Yeah.
It's that, kick in that protection instinct.
Sorry, I want to let Miss Radical speak because she's been wanting to speak for a really long time and we ended up taking over. So
actually,
please.
I have to step down.
Sorry.
Thank you guys. I'll keep watching.
Thanks,
but I gotta
Jenna.
step down to order food. Bye.
I just wanted to kind of tap on what Happy was saying about churches and that message getting out there, and I wanted to kind of tap on the fact that somebody has their mic on pretty loud. Thanks. I work at this shelter, and what I'm seeing is churches coming out there and they're handing out gift bags to people and they are trying to bring them in. They're trying to find them homes. They are trying to turn a lot of people, and they are doing the work that we are not. They're giving them homes, they're giving them jobs, they're coming together. It's kind of crazy. And I feel like when I see it happening, these individuals are being preyed on. It's like they're finding our weakest and turning them into soldiers for them. And it's really terrifying.
That's how a cult works.
Yep.
Honestly, it's just right-wing populism that Donald Trump wants to keep doing. That's what Pierre Polyev likes to keep doing. I think many people would vote conservative if Pierre Polyev was not the leader. Someone more of a moderate, I would be among those people who would vote conservative. Even though I'm a diehard liberal, I would. If Carney was with the conservatives, I would vote conservative. But he's not with the conservatives. He's with the liberals, and I'm very, very happy about that. That's fine. But, I was for Polyev at one point, but I wanted a change. I wanted Justin Trudeau to step down. It was time for him to go. Now I have that change, and I'm happy with Mark Carney. Pierre Polyev is too far to the right. Just by things he has said, like defunding the CBC and being a part of the Tucker convoy in 2022.
Okay, guy, I just want to clear something up. Today's conservative Party is not the same Conservative Party from the past. They joined with the Reform Party and they've become alt-right. So Michael, if you said you would vote for Conservative, in my mind, you are voting for people like Trump. That's what the Conservative Party is today.
Actually, if the Conservative Party was still the party like Joe Clark, Brian Mulroney, Kim Campbell, I would feel more comfortable with that kind of Conservative Party.
Brian Mulroney completely effed us over. Like, I'm sorry, but we would not be in this issue with the United States if Brian Mulroney didn't kill our national energy program, and we would be self-sufficient and self-sustaining in terms of having enough refineries, and we wouldn't need the United States. So, sorry, I can't stand Brian Mulroney.
Somebody
would
just
be so much
joined
better
True
off.
North Strong. Can you block that person? True North Strong. Somebody from True North Strong joined.
What was that what was that person? I think his name was Robert Stanfield. I could vote for someone like him, an actual progressive conservative, but those days of the red Tories are gone. I have nothing in common probably with today's Conservative Party like Pierre Poilievre.
I don't understand what you mean by you have nothing in common with this party. The Conservative Party that is in power right now, and it doesn't matter whether we're talking federally or provincially at this point, are clearly white supremacy parties. They're clearly schmaltzy style fascist government parties. Like, it's very clear what they are. And you know what? The Conservative Party has never been good for the working class people. As somebody born and raised in Alberta, who's had a conservative provincial government for, like, let's be real, for fucking ever. Pardon my French, but like, it just feels that way. But
Calvin, who were you talking about? I can't. Is their name?
I can't find them.
There was just said joined the party True North Strong, and it was just a person or somebody joined the chat, and we don't want whatever we're talking about here. I really don't want True North or any of them to get right.
I can't find it. Did it say it in their comments? Did it say it in their name?
It doesn't matter. They can listen if they want. This is broadcast anyway, so
yeah,
we'll keep an eye out for them.
Thank you, Glass Dolphin. Yeah, so it has been for almost forever, but they have never been good for the working class people. Not now, not ever. That has never been the case. Klein decimated healthcare and education in Alberta. Smith is really just doing, well, Smith/LaGrange just basically putting the final nails in the coffin. And for the person in a comment who said that the Conservatives have lowered the cost of living in Alberta, please showcase to me some data that supports that, because I guarantee for a fact that that is not the case. There's no data you can produce that has ever and will ever support that statement. Look at what Smith did to Calgary. Calgary's housing market is so overinflated. I feel so bad for all the people who had to buy in during this last year when prices for houses are like ridiculous. Who's spending $700 plus to $1 million on a regular 3-bedroom house in Calgary? Excuse me? Why? And yes, I know I'm Edmontonian, so like put that in. we have to laugh about that joke, but still, like their houses in Calgary are supposed to be slightly higher than Edmonton, not twice the price of Edmonton. Like, that is ridiculous. There is never insurance. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Insurance. We could go on. Healthcare, education. We could just keep going about all of the things that they privatized. Look at we used to have a wonderful, government regulated liquor stores here. Don't have that. My mom used to work at one when she was pregnant with me. They were great jobs. Nope, not anymore. Klein got rid of those. So there is never a time that you can tell me conservative governments have done anything for the people. You know that GST you pay? That was Mulroney, by the way. Mulroney started GST. Like, I could keep going. Well, because Mulroney, let's be honest, was Reagan 2.0. Let's be real.
100%.
and trickle down economics and that whole. There is nothing that you can say to prove that any conservative government we've had ever will do anything for the working class people. They are so pro corporation. It is not even funny. And if you are not a millionaire plus, you don't count in their eyes. You are not even a person. Like, you are just a worker bee for them to exploit. Period. End stop. So I would suggest, Michael, that you really go look back at the history books, go really actually research what the Conservative Party has done for anybody at your economic status currently, ever in history, because I guarantee you won't find anything good. Sorry,
also,
I'm like totally letting out all my anger today.
It's okay. And I also just want to add to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I speak for a second, guys? I understand the guy down below here. I was indoctrinated too. It's not his fault. It's just what we were hit with social media. So we need a game plan. We are basically the front line of this campaign. We don't have money for bots or bot farms. We are essentially the bots. So we have to create. We are all creators on here. We have to create short videos to highlight Pierre Poilievre's downfalls and what he has done against Canadians. His biggest talking is inflation or the groceries and all that stuff. Well, I just did a video on that a couple days ago, and I went through his voting record. There was legislation proposed to help Canadians with inflation. He voted against it, and it failed. I posted that right on my video. Then he voted against. There was a legislation that was proposed to help Canadians with the increase in rise of food. His biggest talking point. He voted against it. And then there was another one to help Canadians with the cost of heating in their homes. He voted against it. So we have to, voting records don't lie. So we have to every week come up with a targeted ad and create a campaign, and then we all push that on TikToks and all social medias. And I know on Facebook, you're not on Facebook, but we have to play their game. We have to post those videos on all platforms. Essentially, we have, because they have that guy in Ontario, what, I don't know what his name is, he's bald and stuff, and he's got a massive following. So, also, I'm going to have to warn you, over the next couple months, our accounts are already attacked, but the next few months, we're going to get mass reported, and our accounts are going to be threatened to be taken down. So I need all of you guys to make a second account. You don't have to post anything on it, but just make it aware on your original account that this account exists in case something happens to this, because I've seen other content creators in the United States that happened to them that were trying to spread education. The Russians and the Americans are going to hit us hard, and they have with this information. So we are basically, we don't have the money. They have an organization. We have each other, and this is what we have to do. And that's all. Thank you.
Can I just pop in with something? I just wanted to say, for me, I guess, when I'm talking about like old conservatives versus new conservatives, I'm more looking at the social progressive part of them, like financial, whatever, business, whatever. Like for me, I guess more the social progressive part. So like the old PC party, I could see like Jean Charest like being in support for LGBTQ rights.
That's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Sasha Ray, Peter McKay, Aaron O'Toole. Those who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Pierre Poilievre, Stephen Harper.
Okay, well, I don't know about Aaron O'Toole. I don't think he would be high on the list of progressive.
Aaron O'Toole, he is.
There's some things, Sean, that were like kind of seemingly progressive. I was curious if we saw a long game on him, if he'd be able to back that up, but he definitely did try and put on that face a little bit.
Aaron O'Toole is complicated. He campaigned when he was running for the leadership as the true blue, tried to appeal to the more base of the party when during the election he moved more towards the center to appeal to the moderates.
Okay.
Pretty
Well,
sure he went to, sorry, just to quick add this quickly. I'm pretty sure he went to Mexico at the end of his reign. Well, many places were locked down during that time for COVID. Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
But anyway, Sean was making a point. It's
no, thank you.
right.
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, for conservatives, the old conservatives, what I was talking about, were more socially progressive than they are now. The ones now are, like I said, Maple MAGA. Like 100%. If they get in power, just like Scott Moe, just like Daniel Sith, just like well, whoever they were in New Brunswick before, they'd pass anti-trans laws. And I'm pretty sure if Pepe gets in prime minister, which I don't think he will also make national laws about anti-LGBTQ stuff, just like how Trump is trying to do. Well, not trying to do, he has done.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done it, but he's allowed the framework so that all sorts of people, all sorts of groups are doing it right now, particularly at the state level. He's
Yeah,
opened
I
up
mean,
the
he took
floodgates
the
for that.
T out of LGBTQ. He took the T out.
That's true.
Wait, Pierre did?
No, Trump.
Oh, no, Trump.
I mean, Pierre definitely, like, saying he only knows two genders is alluding to something. I'm not sure how far that would go. I think it depends on the context of government, but
That's got to appeal to the anti-Soji crowd.
yeah. I don't know who is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. What were you gonna say?
I wasn't looking at my phone, so I don't know who was speaking before. Was that you, Calvin? That you said that you used to be conservative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I applied to the Conservative Party, and I wanted to run as a conservative in my district to dethrone or de-seat the Liberal candidate here until I saw what was going on. Just on a side note, this guy on his TikTok, his name is on there. His handle is Path to Nowhere. Path to Where. Very brilliant man, good researcher. He highlighted exactly the U.S. economy. The U.S. economy was projected to have a total collapse by 2030. Now with Trump, it's now projected to have a total collapse of 2027. This is why Donald Trump is so adamant on going after the resources in Ukraine. And this is why he's very adamant on in annexing Canada. And the cheapest way to do that is through Pierre Poilievre and put all his resources. Same thing with Elon Musk X and all those in Russia are all going to put their resources towards Pierre Poilievre. Now China is hurting us and wants us to fail because the people the United States owes most debt to is China. And so if somebody owes you money, you don't want them to go bankrupt. You want them to pay your bills. So this is why China is attacking us too now. So right now, the US does not have anything back in its currency. It's all based on debt. They're not their they outspent their GDP. And now they have their eyes set on Canada and our resources. That is the brutal truth, people, and that has to be included in some of our videos somehow. It's a matter of sovereignty now. It's a very sobering reality, and people just don't know about this. But check out his videos, man. He's a very intelligent man, and he cites all his resources, and I cross-check what he says. He's legit, man.
Thanks for that, Calvin. I wanted to, I brought it up because I wanted to actually talk about what you had said before. Um, so I'm just gonna, sorry to circle back on you, but that was why I started, wanted to speak. Let's see if I can remember here, but you were talking about people being indoctrinated, and Happy was discussing this as well. And let's see if I can think what my thought was. I think it is a really important activism that we're doing here, having discussions with people, putting out videos, and information sharing. And I've said this before, but I think when you're speaking to people who have bought into some of the narratives, like it's important to remember, and this is sort of what Happy was talking about like how that radicalization happens, like sometimes there's like a low media literacy, sometimes there's disinterest, sometimes they're tapping into some kind of anger. Like that's a very is very common populism technique, is to foment already pre-existing anger and stress and fear, and then direct it at the wrong place, and then introduce yourself as being the savior, right? So I mean, it's very appealing to present yourself as some kind of antidote to, and also the vilification. And this is what I was going to say. I think it's important. Like, I don't know how many people that you've spoken to that have like the opposite sides of what you think here, like everyone's experience with that. But like, what I've been hearing for the past maybe 10 years or so is this vilification of the left, and this like tendency, and all those narrative creators I was discussing earlier are like directly responsible for opposing this, is like the leftist propaganda. Now it's morphed into wokeism. In the days of Rush Limbaugh, it was the PC police. So this is both an old technique, and it's also functioning in a new and updated way. And like the point of that is, you can't educate somebody out of that by giving them facts, because they've been taught that anything that you have to say is just propaganda, and it's cultish essentially. So it just reminds me of when I was working on a Hillary campaign in the States. And I was talking to this guy that was doing door-to-door campaigning in Boston, and it was a Black man. And I was talking to him about going into these YT neighborhoods, and, that are very Republican and right wing, and just, what did he encounter with this, like, these Trumpist neighborhoods or whatever. And what he said to me is, well, not much, because these people believe narratives about me because they have not met me, and so when I talk to them, it just kind of demonstrifies me as being this enemy, and then it's harder for them to believe the lies that they have to fear you, or that they're at war with you, and so I try, this doesn't always work, but I try to talk to people that I see have these beliefs and just ask them questions. But simultaneously, I always try and not engage in combative discussion, because like I can't beat the like lies out of their head, right? But if they can see that I'm not that enemy thing that they've been convinced, and I'm not just this like leftist that's trying to woke them away or something, then maybe we can have some kind of common ground, and that it can plant a seed or something.
You're absolutely right. I did
Can
a few
sorry,
videos.
I want to let Women Against Polyev talk, because she just came up on the panel, and I know she's been waiting to come up for a little bit. So I want to let her speak, and then Calvin, we can go to you after.
Okay.
Great. Hi. Good evening, everyone from Vancouver. I just want to say a couple things. Just I've been listening to the conversation, and I agree with wholeheartedly with almost everything that's been said. I think, or not I think, as we all know, Canada's sovereignty is under probably the biggest threat it's ever been right now because of Trump. But I think more so because of Polyev, because Polyev is someone who can directly impact Sorry, I don't know what's going on in the background there. I think our biggest threat is actually comes from Polyev, because he's the one who, if he were to, God forbid, get a majority government in this country, could sell us out. He will have all the power. And so I think there's what I've seen over the last year and a half that I've been on this site is a growing community of anti-Polyev sentiment. And we've had the good fortune of his polls tanking, or significantly his lead has been reduced, almost erased. And hopefully we keep doing the work to ensure that that keeps going so that we get a Liberal majority government. I trust Carney. I did, as Calvin referenced, see the Pat to Nowhere's or to Where's video on the collapse of the American economy. And two things about that is that it's consistent with what I've been seeing other economists say. And also he spoke about how Canada will withstand the collapse of the American economy because of our resources and how our debt is structured, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of hope for us if we have the right government, and we would have that with Carney. And I just wanted to end on Calvin's point. I think we need to really have a go forward plan here. And I've been talking to some other creators about getting our own, like you say, campaign going, our own very consistent messaging on issues, debunking what Polyev is saying and promoting Carney as we go forward in the next, I guess, couple of months until we have an election, ostensibly. So, like I said, I'm talking to some other creators. I'll be putting some stuff out about that. If anybody wants to join, would certainly be open to that. As a Liberal, not an NDP, but a Liberal government push for me. And again, I appreciate all of you guys, what you're saying, and really are learning from you and agree with everything you're saying. We are in a very serious crisis, and we have a lot of advantages in this country. We just need to make the next choice in the next election. And for me, I'm not so much past focused. I'm fully focused on the future, and that we need to win this thing. And am directing my efforts, as I know you all are as well, and just really appreciate everything you're doing. So more to come. Thank you.
And with that said, just quickly, Beaver Politics does have our own Discord server. Can we? I'm sorry, I need to mute when somebody's not talking. Okay. So Beaver Politics, we do have our own Discord server. The link is in the bio. Go check it out and join, because that can be a good platform for all of us, specifically creators that are putting out messages, to be able to talk to each other and create unified messages, right? One of the biggest things that I took away from the interview that I listened with Tim Walz, where he talked about where the Democrats went wrong in the States, I think that's something that we really need to focus on. If you guys want to read it, you can go to my Substack and read it, or you can go to my page. But one of the big things is come together, and we need to have a common unified message, and we need to make sure that we're actually touching the pain points of even the conservatives, and talk about how the government that's most likely to win against the conservatives actually has an answer for them, right? So there's a lot of things that we can do, but we definitely need to unite. So as creators, please join our Discord server so that we can start having so that we can start figuring out a campaign that has a unified message. Johnny.
It's my turn. I thought it was me.
And yep, Calvin and then Johnny.
Yeah. So TT hit the nail on the head on the nail. I don't know how that thing goes, but yeah, the Chinese and the Russians have been able to master the narcissistic cycle on a massive scale. And so everything we are seeing is indoctrination. And so it doesn't matter what we tell these people. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. And as soon as their ego is questioned, they're going to dig their heels in even more. Our primary concern and job, I think, as creators, is to prevent further indoctrination from other people. Those people that are staunchly ingrained, indoctrinated, the only way we can approach them is exactly what you did. You approach them with compassion, because their views, their truth, their knowledge is valid to them, and we have to acknowledge that. And only when we come off as non-threatening is the only way we can begin to deconstruct their reality and the misinformation that they've been fed. Bang on, TT.
Yeah, I think. Oh, was it my turn or someone else's turn to speak?
Johnny's turn first.
I just wanted to tack on to what you said, Frontline. And I think when we're like, putting that message out, a lot of people get afraid that what, like I'm saying, for example, how we need to be united. A lot of people think that means we don't need to have like two left parties. So we have to make the messaging clear that it's like a temporary thing, right? Like we're not asking the NDP and the Liberals to merge forever. It's just asking like cooperation for a really like important time in history and make it through the storm like united. And then going back to like, I would love to see more parties in Canada, like how Germany has, but I don't know if that makes sense, but I just wanted to tack on to that.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where we have a hard time, is that there's a lot of NDP voters that they really don't want to come together for this one time. And so my message is, please think about the well-being of our country and our sovereignty right now. I know that this is going to sound maybe hard to stomach, but like this is not the time where we're going to get to these more like progressive policies and move in this like utopian world, because we're literally preparing for war. And we need to be very realistic with where we are. So right now we have one focus, and our focus is to keep our sovereignty and to keep the Conservatives out. And then we need to keep going for a while, because this whole thing with Trump is not going to come to an end right away. I mean, it would be great if it did, and we can all hope for that. But until we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we need to keep being united, and we need to keep together as a big group with a united message. So, I would recommend that if you are an NDP voter, and I've been an NDP voter for the last 10 years, I'm probably still going to be one because that's strategically what makes sense for my riding, that you do contact your NDP representative and talk to them about coming together with the Greens and the Liberals and the Bloc, because we all need to stick together through this, because the Conservatives are the biggest threat that we've ever faced, ever. Again, these are guys who are working with PragerU and the ARC and the IDU, which are globalist movements, the thing that the Conservatives are so scared about for the WEF. And the ARC actually tried to brand themselves as a replacement for the WEF. So if you guys are scared of globalism, you need to look at what all these right-wing conservative parties are doing around the world and realize that they're actually the globalists, the elite globalist party that you're so scared of. It's them. So the most important thing is that temporarily we come together and do whatever it takes for us to be able to come together. Because I know that there's a lot of backlash right now in terms of, people think that Carney's a banker and that he's going to be so bad, blah, blah, blah. But like, we just need to be realistic. I can understand where a lot of these people are coming from. And when we say strategic vote, again, I just want to point this out. Strategically voting does not mean voting for Liberals. It doesn't. It means understanding your riding. Because if you vote for Liberals in an area where NDPs have a better chance, that's still throwing a vote away. If you vote for Liberals in a place where Green has the better chance, you're throwing your vote away. You have to figure out your ridings, figure out past results, figure out current pollings, and then make an educated decision from there.
Is there? Can you provide links and the website on how? Can you do a video to educate people on a link or something where they can easily just go and do that?
Easy.
And we can all share that.
Smartvoting.ca is going to be one of the best sites that can help you figure this out. And on top of that, if you don't trust that site for some reason, you can do your own research as well.
Do we have any information on the background of smart voting? Is it legit?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know who
So
JB Polify is?
we'll do videos on that.
You can go take a look at the account Canadian Poly 101. He's the one that actually started the website. He's the one that's updating and maintaining the models. He also is also known originally as Sheep King, now JB, now Canadian Poly 101. He's done a couple of videos in regards to what he does in regards to getting that information there and how the calculations and how the algorithms work. He'll be continuing to do that, obviously, for the federal election coming up. On the most part, should work well. Obviously, he's already given the warning. If you're in a place that's a new riding because of a split, it's going to be hard to tell what's going to be the best move because there's no existing data. But yeah, you could absolutely take a look, and you could also reach out to him. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help you out and give you answers.
Yeah. Oh, JB has come on Small Town before. And all that. Obviously, I was going to vote Liberal anyways. You in Small Town, I'm sure you guys will be doing it again today. About my NDP card. It's a joke. They like doing, you know.
Or is it?
But you can do it tonight. So I think a lot of voters, if you, let's say you've been voting NDP your whole life, you will vote NDP because that's just who you know. It's the same with Liberal voters, the same with Conservative voters. That's who you know. So I don't see anybody really coming together. You're going to vote your team. Like, I'm a Liberal. My mom voted for John Kachin Stefan Young.
I think you just said the first problem there, Michael.
You're going to vote for
You
your
said,
team.
yeah, that's kind of the problem that a lot of us have been trying to explain to you. If you vote for a party because it's your team, that means you don't care about what they represent. And that's a massive problem because, again, the Conservatives are voting for their guy because it's their team, regardless of the fact it's going to be making their life more expensive, more difficult, and in some cases, just absolutely horrifying.
But
This
how
is
do we get
why
that
it's
message?
so bad.
We
How
don't.
do
We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time left. Carney is away next week. He's going to Europe. Probably right after he gets back, he goes to the Governor General and calls the election. Because I was going to vote Liberal regardless. It's my team. I want the Liberals to win a fourth term.
There's that T word again.
Okay.
so how do we get that messaging out and ask people to drop their team lines and vote smart?
Maybe we give them examples
By
of like, well, I wanted cheaper eggs, and then see what the Americans are complaining about because they voted for one issue because it was their team.
we need to educate on what vote splitting means, how ridings work, how seats in each riding work based on population, et cetera, et cetera. We need to educate over and over. We need to create little diagrams, right? Get your crayons out, Johnny.
Johnny's specialty.
I was just gonna say, like, I think you need to. It's. I don't want to say fearmonger, but you have to show like the worst case scenario, like what a vote split would do could potentially be a conservative majority government, right? And that doesn't work for anyone who supports the Liberals or the NDP, which is most of like over 50% of Canada, right? So we really have to just like get that message across that anything really is better than conservative at this point.
Honestly, you guys, honestly, I would give you guys, so he's away next week. I think he calls the election 22nd, 23rd. You guys have like probably 2 weeks to talk to as many conservative voters as you can.
23rd is when it's right now. The guess is that he's going to call the election.
Quick question. Hold on. I've had somebody waiting in the guest request for like over half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm wondering if anybody would be okay with giving them a chance to speak.
I'm going to go down.
No, Joe,
Okay.
you stay. I've been here longer, and I have to log off anyway. So
Yeah,
thanks,
because we do
thanks
have to
for
shut down the live pretty soon-ish, so I want to give them a chance to say their piece.
thanks for having me up, and you know, you guys are awesome.
Um,
You're
Really
always
appreciate.
welcome, TT. We appreciate you. You've said a lot
Yeah,
of
You're
great
thank
things
awesome.
you.
tonight.
Bye, guys.
um, bye, TT. I think, when I think the election will be, I think election day will I think the election day, it's a controversial day. I think it's going to be Victoria Day, long weekend.
No,
When
they
you-
won't do it on a holiday.
We're,
Uh,
we're gonna we're gonna find out, so let's not jump to any conclusions just yet. When we do find out, we can talk about it then.
I have my days when I think that when he calls the election. I do.
I
Okay.
was gonna say that my former riding is actually a perfect education ground for what happens when you split the vote, because literally that's all that happens is NDP and Liberal candidates split, and had everybody voted for one or the other, we'd never have a Conservative in my riding in Edmonton. But because they split constantly, the cons always win by like 5 to 10,000 votes. So I think I'm going to make some
Same
content.
with Ontario. Same with
Yeah,
Ontario. That's exactly how Doug Ford got in.
yeah. Well, but
Yeah.
look at Alberta. Like, people wouldn't expect it from Alberta because, well, well. But it would be perfect content, especially given the fact that I'm now going to be in brand new writing to talk about what the potential effects of that are going to be going forward for both writings now, and how that people really need to vote strategically. You can't just leave it. And more importantly, get your ass out and vote. I think it's the most important message we can send out, because what happened in the States was 40% of people didn't even show up. Didn't bother to show up to even vote for anybody. And I think that's really probably the most significant factor, more than anything about who they voted for, but that people weren't voting. Period. So we need to get people out. I that's I
Yeah,
think I know.
that's
You, you
it's going to
know,
be tough. I
you know,
want to let hold on. Sorry guys, I want to let Norbert speak. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for bringing me up. Yeah,
Sorry
so
that
I'm
it took a
from,
long time.
you're all good. I am from Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, currently going to university in Halifax. So both of those places are pretty red. Currently, Halifax is governed by, or sorry, Nova Scotia has a conservative um, in office, but as in regards to like uniting the Liberal Party, I think that it is very easy to root for somebody who you think is going to be a winner. I think we need to highlight all of like Mark Carney's most like exciting proposals, talk about how much like, we're going to win. Like this is the winning side. We are winning. We are excited. We are energized on that note. And like I'm a very new creator. I have not been on TikTok as like a creator for much time. I'm just starting to like try and build my following in order to like start to do my own lives. But I have signed up to cold call voters through the Liberal Party, and I've specified that I want to um, call people like specifically in our version of swing states, swing votes, whatever places where I can
handwriting.
try and get people. Yeah, thank you. And just try and like chat with people, because really I don't want to like, my intention isn't to change anybody's minds on their fundamental beliefs. Mine is really just to chat with people and see where their heads are at, see how much misinformation they're getting, and like see what we can do to, provide them good resources. I was saying in the comments, even like maybe a week or two ago, I was in an Uber and the Uber driver started like complaining about how much CBC is funded by the liberals and prioritizes liberal content. And I was like, I am queer and trans, and like now I am in your car and I am scared about what you believe. And so I reported him. And that's the other thing we have to do, is we have to hold these people accountable. There's a homeschooling advocacy group that is national, but that is based in Ontario, called the HSLDA. And their leader is somebody that I have been trying to get rid of, because he is a like homophobe and all the things, racist, and he wants to educate children at home so that they aren't like indoctrinated into what the educational system is teaching. Like, that's horrifying. That's so scary.
What's his name?
So his name is Peter Stock, Stock. You can DM me if you have more questions about that and like want to
Oh,
join me
absolutely.
in that fight. Yeah,
I'm in
very, very
Ontario.
happy to do that.
Absolutely.
I've already given the information to JB Politics, so I'm hoping that like he can do some stuff. And I've talked to other people on TikTok and like sent them emails and stuff. So like I think that we can get enough people and enough media outrage because I also CC'd, CBC, Anti-Hate Canada, all the things. I'm like, I'm committed to this. I'm in this. We're in this. I'm 21. Like I'm energized. So
Yay.
Well,
that energy,
We
you
need
Honestly,
more
know?
people like you. We need
hon-
more people like you in the city.
honestly,
Yeah.
oh, honestly,
I want to let Pete after Michael's done. I want to let PG say something.
um,
So Michael, go ahead.
yeah, Tiffany, I think the turnout will be high just because of what's going on in America. I think Canadians are very much aware of what's going on and don't want that to happen here. I think this will be a good election. Um, I I think the Liberals will make it across the line. It's going to be it's doable for them now compared to it was back in December, January. Um, you know, it's anyone's game between the two Pierre Polyev and Carney. I think he closed the election. Um, 22nd, 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 23rd is after he gets back from Europe, and Carney can appeal to those more moderate voters, those red Tory blue liberals. It
All
was
right.
it was nice being um on the panel with all of you. It was I will see you later, Joe. I'm sure on Small Town. It was nice talking with you, Tiffany. Thank you, host, as always. I'm going to do my own thing. I'll see you later on, Joe, after my nap.
Enjoy your
Thanks,
nap.
Michael.
No problem. Bye.
Bye, Michael.
You're
Take
going
care,
for a
Michael.
nap now? That's good.
PG.
Thanks for having me up. I won't stay long. I just
Phenomena.
I wanted to really talk about smart voting, but you've done an amazing job doing that. And one of the things that I did bring up in the Discord was that the videos, which you guys talked about as well. And I think that one of the things, I don't know if we want to just put out one a week. I think that if we can get together, some of you are really good at making videos, and I'm not good at it. I would love to, but I'd mess it up. But yeah, so some of you are really good at it, and I really would like to see like a QR code to smartvoting.ca to be included in some of those videos. And my message has been for a while now, really like take all of this off app as well, right? Don't get off the app, but just take all of this, your knowledge off the app, because there are so many people outside that don't hear everything that you know. They don't know any of this stuff, right? They don't understand it. They don't follow it. They can't be bothered, or they just hear little bits and pieces, but they don't have your in-depth knowledge. So every time you have an opportunity to talk to somebody off the app, please do it so that they understand what it is that they're actually going to be voting for when they get there. However you want to deliver your message, I don't know if it's fear mongering or just actually just having a real conversation with somebody is probably works the best. But that is something that we need to take off of the app and then make sure that people understand what it is that we're going, like what we're heading into. We're at a time where, unfortunately, voting, conservative, even if you're a moderate, if you want to consider yourself a moderate, you're voting for an extremist. There are no two ways about it, right? Like
It's one of the questions I always ask, which is, because a lot of these conservatives are, well, I'm really concerned about, the tax on this and so on. I'm like, all right, cool. But this is the most important thing, right? Like, he's also saying these other things. you know, these are the things that's going to harm other people. Is this something you're comfortable with? Well, I'm not really crazy about that. But remember, when you vote for the party, you're voting for all of it. You don't get to pick and choose what policies they're going to be putting in. If you're surprised that the eggs are going more expensive and that they are now deporting your neighbors and your friends and your family, well, you voted for it. Doesn't matter, you only wanted the eggs cheaper. You voted for the entire package.
Exactly.
It wasn't a buffet.
Exactly. And I think that if we actually send a real strong message with the kind of leadership that we do want in our politics, and we want like actual progressive politics, we could one day go back to the idea of voting conservative, liberal, NDP, and whatever your conscience is, because if we send that clear message, potentially at some point, politics will end up going back to how you remember it, right? People will actually go into it trying to do something for the people. Honestly, I don't see that future with the Conservatives. That's just me. But anyway, that would be nice if it did go back to, we'd be able to vote either way. But I don't know.
How many of you guys are new to politics in Canada? Because before, I've never followed politics in Canada. I really didn't care until I saw the patterns of losing our sovereignty here in Canada. And that's when I got involved, because I'm trying to provide a future for my children and guarantee a future for my children and grandchildren. That's the only reason why I'm on here and trying to do something about it. So how many of you guys are new to this stuff?
As a guy from Quebec, I can tell you I've always thought about sovereignty for a long time.
So I think
the
that
version of it's changed.
Don't start that now. We don't need that right now.
No.
Hold on.
Calvin, you're going to find that there are a lot of people who started getting interested in politics like probably 2015, 2016 on type of thing. There are other people who have been into it a lot longer, like Joe, for example. I think Frontline has been involved in a lot longer, and I'm not sure about some of the Johnny. I'm not sure, right? So I can't speak for you guys. I just think that, you know, it's serious, and a lot of the stuff that we see, and I know I'm going to move away from that conversation, and you guys can keep it going. I just want to bring up a reminder that everything that we see around the world, and Frontline has talked about the IDU, right? And they have membership around the world, and everywhere that there have been an election has been a practice run for them. They're the dinosaurs testing the fences. Okay, so whatever works in this country will be applied to that country if it's similar, right? And I'm starting to think more and more like what we saw with Russia-Ukraine war, right, has been a test of how the US can endure in a similar type of situation. I don't know if I'm far off on this one. Russia has had a crap economy ever since the war started, right? And they've endured. Why? Because they've taken away all of the programs. They've taken away any kind of infrastructure and everything else. They've had an increasing GDP only because they've taken everything away from the people, right? And they've put everything into their military. So I think that was a test of the fences to see whether or not the U.S. could endure doing that. Now, with the U.S., what it looks like they're doing is they're front loading all of that instead of starting the war and then having that as a consequence. I think they're front loading all of that, and so they're looking to stockpile to be ready for what's coming next. And you're absolutely right; their economy's failing.
That sounds about right. PG, I do agree with you when you said that the parties are, conservative is really extreme right now, and we have to emphasize that things will go back to, or like I think that's a good way to kind of like split the teams, you know, and say like, this is what you align with. If you align with Pierre, we're not saying that conservatives are terrible. We're saying that these conservatives are terrible, and that these conservatives is what you align with. However, if you want conservatives that are more moderate, please vote liberal so that we can move the needle further left. Like I feel like that's kind of like a good way to sever these like team ties that people are really entrenched in. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just a thought.
No, that's a good thought. You know, when I talk to people, I just basically tell them, look, you know, I wanted to run for a conservative seat. I want to be conservative, but just to save our country, I'm going to vote liberal right now because for our riding right now, it's either liberal or conservative. So that's just the smart vote and just basically what it is. I just tell people I can vote conservative 4 years time, 5 years time, it doesn't matter. But for right now, all I'm trying to do is save our country.
That's what I've been saying too. You're absolutely right, and
Absolutely.
you've got the absolute correct mindset. Because if you like more people who vote conservative now, we may not have an opportunity to vote again in the future, and then there goes your long term plan, right? Like in the States right now, like it's almost hard to imagine another election, absolutely another free election. Like I don't think I don't think the last one was free and fair, but all that aside, doesn't matter, right? But having said all that, like I don't think you're going to see another one. They're already looking at changing things in the Constitution, which you would think that they wouldn't be able to do without the 38 states. Sounds like they're on their way to doing some of it anyway, even without the 38 states.
Well, they're planning on enacting, well, for Canadians, that if you have family and friends down in the States, you should tell them to leave soon because the administration just announced that they want to they want to enact the 1798 Foreign Aliens Act.
Yep.
And I guarantee you all the Canadians are going to be rounded up soon.
Yep. That's
so
what I'm thinking too.
just tell your friends and family, be aware, be cautious, get ready to get out.
Well, these are people who have gone to court and argued the 14th Amendment and Indigenous people's right to birthright citizenship, right? Where are these people supposed to be going? Where are you going to deport these people to? Right? They're there. That's where they are. There's nowhere else for them to go, and so they could only be detained somewhere if that's the case.
Yeah, they just arrested the first Canadian down there. Just saw an article on her. They also arrested their first political prisoner. He's an American citizen. He was on a student visa, but now he's an American citizen. He was a protester, organizer in Columbia University, but you don't see that on the news.
Mahmoud Khalil.
Mahmoud Khalil.
Yeah.
He's now detained, and they now want to deport him and reject his citizenship. So another message you have to appeal to is all the people that have citizenship in Canada. You have to send them that message and send them that warning. Look, this is what's happened to the States. This guy is a citizen. He's now going to be deported. Do you want that to happen to you? If not, vote smarten.com.
Yeah, don't forget in those two scenarios, Calvin, that I'm going to follow you, but don't forget in those two scenarios, Mahmoud, he disappeared for 2 days. Nobody knew where he was. The woman who was from BC disappeared for, I think it was a little over 24 hours. Nobody knew where she was. This can't be right. Like, this can't be happening.
They
you
moved.
Can't just disappear people like that.
Sorry, they moved Mahmoud to I think Louisiana, 2,000 miles from New York.
Insane.
Yeah, they're detention camps, and they're very atrocious. I was reading the article from the Canadian lady. She said she's never experienced anything like that. She was shackled and chained like an animal.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
Yeah.
And then
sorry, guys. I want to give Kingston a chance to speak because he came up on the panel like 10 minutes ago, and I just want to make sure that everybody is able to speak. And we will have to shut down the live pretty soon because we've already gone 40 minutes over. So I wanted to just give everybody a chance to say their piece. So I'm going to let Kingston speak. Then we can go through everybody else for a whatever they want to say to the crowd before we shut it down tonight. And then, yeah.
I'm just going to drop.
So Kingston.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it was a very good discussion, and everybody participated. You had all good input. And I wanted to mention that, yes, there was a Canadian woman that was arrested on the southern border with Mexico, and she's some sort of entrepreneur, and she had a work visa, I don't know if we are talking about the same lady or not, but she has been in custody
We are talking
for
about the same lady.
We are
11
talking
days
about the
now.
same lady.
Yeah, it's 11 days in custody now. And she's locked up like a criminal, and she's got to go to the front of a judge and then still deported. And she even offered that she could buy her ticket back to Canada, and they didn't care. They just locked her up like an animal. I'm going to strongly recommend to a lot of Canadians not to travel to US at the present time. It's just too risky, just way too risky and too intrusive. So, but otherwise, good discussions. And yeah, and I'll keep everybody updated about Alberta, particularly Danielle Smith, but we'll see where everything goes. But thank you for good inputs from everybody.
Thank you, Kingston. All right, let's go Calvin, Johnny, Joe, Tiffany, and Nobert. And just quickly before we all start, just a direct message to Nobert. Just so you know, us as Beaver Politics, we are looking for a younger kind of, younger voice to join our team and to do a show. So if you feel comfortable, maybe reach out and send us a message, join our Discord server, and maybe let's talk about getting you on a show.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. I will reach out.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go. Calvin, Johnny, Joe, Tiffany, and Norbert.
All right, guys. I guess a lot of minds put in this show, and we got to thank Beaver Politics for providing us a platform. But yeah, let's get this done, man. We've got to be committed. This is a matter of our freedom and sovereignty. This is for our children. It's for our grandchildren, man. This is not for us. We're all old, except for you, the Halifax girl. You're still 20. You're still young. But yeah, I value every single one of you guys, man, and I value your expertise and input. That's all I gotta say.
Well said. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for letting me up, and I think you all do good work, and you all have really important things to say, and I think that is super important because the way I see it, and I was talking to my dad and my brother about this, like no one's really going to listen to what a politician has to say, and it's kind of up to us to bring their messages like across because they're not doing a good job with it. Like obviously the conservatives are, but not in the right way. So yeah, we just have to keep doing it and keep putting unity first and just doing what's best for the country and kind of remembering that we're all in this together and we all want the same thing, and we just have to kind of put aside like if someone's not left enough for some. And yeah, I'm stumbling my words a little bit, so I'm done now.
That's okay.
Well done. I
Joe.
liked it. Thank you.
I liked it too.
I'm concerned and I'm concerned about something that I think a lot of us have sort of thought about or mentioned or discussed. Um, One of the things I keep looking at, and when I keep going into certain spaces and listen to politicians, and as well as just listen to people on the outside, is I just get the sense that they're still viewing as the entire issue with the U.S. is still just it's a trade war. We're gonna get this figured out. There's going to be some deal that's gonna be struck, and the whole thing is gonna be better. And I'm sorry, I've been looking at this every single way. And if you watch this, everything that Trump's been saying back and forth, it's hard not to notice that he really doesn't care about the trade. It's not what's going on. And that's not what he cares about. There is something far more serious. And there's something far more serious that Trump is after. Obviously, some of us can speculate it is annexation. But my concern is that the people that need to know that what's going on don't seem to be registering and don't seem to care. And it's that particular engagement we need to get them back to. They're not picking it up. We need to get them to realize that no, This is an important decision, and by the time it happens, it'll be too late for you to realize. I need you to know what's going on now so that we make sure that you're engaged, not only to be able to vote, particularly in a way that's not going to make things worse, but also hopefully that you can also spread the message to a couple of your family so that they're also going to do it. This is only going to work if we can get people to not only realize what's going on, but also start talking to family and friends to also spread that message around for us. That's it.
Thank you, Joe. Tiffany.
Hey. I think I'm basically going to reiterate, I think, a lot of what everybody else has been saying. It's scary times, and we can't rest on our laurels. I've been trying to decide whether I want to kind of jump off Facebook, where I've been kind of spending most of my time sharing my thoughts and opinions, because I feel like no one's over there doing much of anything right now, and we don't want to leave all the people in Facebook who are afraid of joining TikTok out in the dark. And I have been saying for quite a while to a lot of people, it is not safe for anyone, not safe for Canadians to travel to the US. This is, I never thought I'd say those words in my lifetime. It breaks my heart that I even have to say them out loud. It's not safe. It's going to get more dangerous. We need to take this absolutely seriously. Whatever Trump is saying out of his mouth, yes, he's two lies, one truth, but I think his truth here is that he wants to plunder Canada for all of its natural resources. That's the truth. He doesn't care how he diminishes our democracy here. He doesn't care how any of it's going to work. I agree with you. I don't think I don't think our politicians here are taking this seriously. I don't think the people in Canada are taking this seriously, and they need to start taking this dead serious. This is it's not a joke at all. It's dead serious. This is the time we can't rest on our laurels here at all. And whether we have to drag our family members to the polling stations with us and drive them, we have to do that. I don't care if we have to start carpools. Like, we have to make sure that this time everyone gets out, they vote, and they make smart decisions when doing so. Yeah, 30 lies and one truth. Yeah. I was trying to be generous. But yeah, I think that's the game he's playing. He's throwing out a bunch of lies and in one or two truths, and he's trying to get us to figure out what is what. And in doing so, we're all arguing amongst ourselves about what is true and what is not. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, or where I was leaving it. It was so nice to be up with all you guys. I get to see you every once in a while online, but I think it's the first time I've actually got to share a panel with all of you guys. So it was wonderful to see you guys, and thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Gilbert.
Yeah, so thanks. I will make it very quick. Thank you to everyone for letting me up here, but also thank you to everybody who's watching. It's just so great that we can have these conversations, that there's a platform where we can talk about this stuff. So thank you everyone for watching. My main points are that we have to get in these communities, as other people mentioned. We have to get into these communities of people who are not already voting Liberal, in multi different settings, on TikTok, but also in Facebook, I don't know, in Twitter. I mean, I made a fake Twitter account so that I can just see what's going on there, because I need to be I pride myself with getting information from both sources as well. But I know that one source is lying, but I keep her on the pulse. And so once we get into those communities and start talking to people, Happy mentioned we have to humanize ourselves, humanize the left. That's really important. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, cognitive dissonance, but there's a separation of liberalism with kindness, which I really don't understand. you know, they'll be like, oh, you're kind to everybody except when you hold me accountable. And I'm like, yeah, well, we all know what I would say to that. But anyway, so get in, humanize, and hope, I think, is really important. It's a scary time, but we are strong. And that connects to like what Calvin was saying is I'm 21 and I'm fighting for myself, but I'm fighting for you too, Calvin. And I'm fighting for your kids and I'm fighting for my future if I have any. Like I'm fighting for all of us. I am fighting for all of us. And so the final thing that I want to mention is I am still doing that fight against the HSLDA. That's the Homeschooling like Law Association or something of Canada. Please DM me if you are interested in joining that fight. It is essentially where they like are advocating for home. It's not that the organization is bad, it's that the leader is very much so set on like anti-school narratives because of educational indoctrination in Canada for the LGBTQ and like sexual health. Like it's learning basic things. So yeah, if you want to help me with that, please DM me. And also, I hate to do this, but please follow me because I am trying to build my platform. And I can do more with more followers. And also, thank you to the Beaver for hosting this. And that is everything I have to say. Thank you so much.
Just a quick side note, this school sounds like the same way private schools indoctrinated children in the U.S. into this MAGA movement.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys
Sorry
so
that
much
you
for...
confused me.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much for being on the panel. Everyone had really good points. I'm just going to leave off with saying that we have to figure out a way to target all of these apathetic people that have no clue what's happening. I'm surrounded by them every single day, and it's exhausting because when I try to tell them what's going on, when I try to tell them what's happening, I get the constant, you're overreacting. I don't want to hear about this. It stresses me out. I just want to keep doing what I do. Life will be fine. I'm not too worried. And I don't know how to get through to them. A part of me wants to shame them, to be honest, because a part of me goes, well, you're being selfish. If you're not paying attention to what's going on right now, you are being selfish. Because it just means that you're in a place of privilege where you don't, it doesn't affect you right now. So maybe we just need to push out that message. I forgot exactly how the quote goes, but it's something along the lines, at first they came for the immigrants and I wasn't one of them, so I didn't care. And then they came for the LGBTQ community and I'm not one of them, so I didn't care. And then they came for me and there was nobody there for me. And they need to be very aware that that is exactly what's going to happen if they don't wake up and do something. So maybe that's something that we can all think about. And when we come back to the panel, either tomorrow night, Saturday night with Radical, let's figure out how to reach out to those people or how we can have a conversation with them where we're not going to get the, oh, you're overreacting, it's not going to be that bad, we'll deal with it when we get there type of response, because that's the hardest thing that I think we have to deal with right now. Conservatives are not going to change their mind. Most of them are just too far down the rabbit hole and there's nothing we can do about that. But there is a good 40-50% of Canadians that don't know what's going on, that are not boycotting America, that are still going on vacation, that are still buying American products. They exist. And it's not because they're doing it for, a bad intention. It's because they genuinely don't understand how important and severe our situation is. So think about it. That's everybody's homework. I'm giving you all homework. Think about how to get through to those people. And we'll meet back up tomorrow, it's Saturday night, and we can maybe figure out a plan on what is the best way to break through. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
I say no.
Thanks so
Awesome.
much.
You're very
Bye,
welcome.
everyone.
And for everybody else that's here, that's still watching, thank you for being here. We do have shows every single evening. If you want to figure out what they are, you can go right to our profile and we've got pinned videos that talk about all the different shows. So check us out and come back tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be here. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Have a good night.